Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Bastion.
He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as if pointing the way. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion.
Alright, our first weapon of the game, the Kale Hammer. Deals high damage, low swing speed, does more damage if you're standing still.
He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. In the calamity.
Evasive rolls make you completely invulnerable, effectively, for the duration, as well as deal damage to enemies you encounter in your path.
That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Kid pops him good. Starts to feel his bruises.
Regardless of your performance in that fight, you will lose a bit of HP at the very end of it. Don't worry, you'll heal it back in a moment.
An old repeater falls out of the sky. Ain't a gift from the gods, but it'll have to do.
The repeater is one of my least favorite weapons in the game,
spin up the chamber.
for the reason that Rux just mentioned. You need to be standing still to be able to use it. This greatly limits its use, as one of the main things that you're going to be doing in Bastion is dodging enemy attacks, so I don't usually use the repeater once we get another option.
Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting. Sometimes you just need a drink.
Health tonics are exactly what they sound like. You use them to heal up HP. You can only carry 3 at the beginning, but there is an item you'll be able to use later.
Must have fled here from the mines.
I will give the repeater this. It is extremely effective at killing squirts. Squirts are your basic enemy. The Goomba, I don't know what else you would call it really, of the game. The single enemy that rushes at you has no real attacks except for running into you.
He sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. Inside's old Rondi, the bartender. The calamity got him before his drinking did. Then Kid finds his trusty shield.
The shield is an incredibly effective item and does not actually use up an item slot.
The security takes him for a penny.
Merely use shift to defend. Using shift will also auto-lock on the nearest enemy.
Clang. Shield saves
And if you put the shield up close enough to when an enemy attack hits you, it will counter, dealing damage to the enemy themselves.
Windbags start turning up for last
Just
call.
after getting the shield, a bunch of windbags will appear in the boxes. Any box you can kill before it spawns will not turn into a windbag. So, getting them before they actually spawn and start fighting you will be to your benefit. Otherwise, just dodge around them, hit them with the Kale Hammer when you have a moment, or the Fang Repeater if you actually feel like using it.
More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid.
There will be a single large gas fella for this portion of the fight. However, he is cripplingly weak to counterattacks if you can get the timing right. A single counterattack should kill him, leaving you free to kill the squirts at your convenience. Be careful not to rush into them, as if you get a couple of squirts on you at once, like say 2 dozen or so, they can actually deal some damage. Short of that, you shouldn't have any problems.
Kid sees the way to the Bastion out the window.
There's absolutely no indication, besides an arrow that pops up,
He gets a good look at things on his way down.
that was the way to go, so you'll probably miss that.
He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke.
This is actually my favorite ranged weapon in the game, just about. Simply because you get it so early and you'll be using it for so long. Breaker's Bow is an extremely powerful ranged weapon that requires a charge
before
up.
the kid could loose an arrow, strong and true. He knows he should draw the string all the way back.
Alright, now what Rux was trying to get at there is that the Breaker Bow has a charge time. If you release your charge when the kid flashes white, which gets to be more a matter of intuition than actually watching for the flash.
The kid pockets a memento from a breaker, once the fastest men in the land.
If you wait for the flash, you'll deal extra damage and your projectile will travel slightly faster. The thing I just picked up, the something stringy, is an upgrade material. Any item preceded by something is upgrade material for one weapon or
The emergency
another.
defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid.
Security systems, like the ones we've been fighting for the past 2 rooms, are a recurring theme in Bastion. Most of them are still active after the Calamity, the as of yet unexplained phenomena that left the world just floating in the middle of the sky. But security systems are mostly static devices, so it's fairly easy to predict where they'll pop up and how you'll be able to dodge them.
Picks up a few pointers from a dusty old tome.
You can carry one secret skill
He's a
with you at
mighty
any
fast
time.
learner.
Secret skills are powerful abilities that require one black tonic to use. Black tonics are fairly common, about as common as finding a health potion just lying around.
You find the distillery.
Sorry.
Right
Distracted
next
by
to the
those
arsenal.
squirts.
Tough part of town. One sip of the spirits in that distillery, and the kid'll feel like a new man.
As you level up, you'll receive more slots for alcoholic beverages, or whatever types of beverages these are. At the beginning, you only have 3 available to you. You can choose the Squirt Cider for a bit of extra durability with plus 10 max health, which is actually fairly significant. You can choose Dread Rum to get plus 10 critical hit chance at full health, or just about everybody I know picks up Fetching Fizz. Fetching Fizz pulls in stray fragments from more distant locations than your basic magnetic property for the fragments around you. It helps you get cash a little bit easier, and that's never a bad thing.
The arsenal's where the kid can pick the best tools for the job.
If you feel like switching back to the Fang Repeater, this is where you do it. But I really don't want to. But what I will be doing is picking up Dancing Shot rather than Whirlwind. Dancing Shot is the basic special ability for the Breaker's Bow, and it fires a single shot that bounces something like 8 or 9 times in between enemies, dealing about as much damage as a fully charged Breaker's Bow shot. It's fairly powerful for clearing out crowds, which is something that the Breaker's Bow can lack in certain circumstances. I'm going to use it here to demonstrate. As you can see, the shot bounced between all the squirts that appear.
Some of them squirts
dealing plenty
buzzing
of
like
damage.
crazy in a couple of corn bins.
Now, for some reason, popcorn bins are where squirts reproduce. So whenever you see one, just be sure to kill that first, or it will keep spawning squirts until you do kill it.
That one was Maud, the tutor. Once taught the kid good manners. He never used them, though.
One of the recurring themes in Bastion is showing the people in the world that were unable to escape the Calamity.
An old ferry barge sends the kid on his
It
way.
has absolutely no purpose other than
The Bastion's real
purely
close now.
storyline reasons, but it is a nice touch. Terminal March, the song currently playing, is one of my favorite in the game.
Right back at you.
Countering security system attacks is actually a fairly effective means of taking them out. Knowing the timing for when you should defend and what types of security systems will attack at what speed is generally a good thing to learn fairly early in Bastion for later survival. When you pick up the item in the middle of the arena here, a fight will
Kid
begin.
takes a chunk of alloy. Smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the
Move
air.
to the side of the arena to dodge the falling scumbags, and then use ranged attacks to take them out.
Kid maybe shouldn't have done what he just did.
You can use your melee weapon for extra damage on them, but with every hit, this type of scumbag will release little pools that will spawn, or little shots that will spawn pools that deal damage to you. I completely whiffed my special
Bad
ability.
time to run out of black tonic.
Running out of black tonic really isn't as bad a thing as you might think. You are unable to use your special abilities, but special abilities are really more of an afterthought to
It's a
my combat,
scumbag of his last meal.
so it's not as debilitating means of taking me out.
Kid puts him out of his misery.
Finishing this fight, a bunch of fragments will appear. Using the Fetching Fizz, it will make it fairly easy to collect all of them, and you should level up at this point if you've killed every enemy up to here. Leveling up gives you plus 2 max health, as well as the ability to equip a new spirit at the distillery the next time you visit one.
He finds the core to the wharf district.
Cores are the goal for the first part of Bastion. Once you collect one, you'll want to make your way to the exit as quickly as possible.
He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Kid has a feeling you better get a move on. The place is starting to fall. just keeps running.
Killing the security systems for experience here is never a bad idea, though. If you fall off the edge here, this segment will automatically end and you will be transported to the Bastion immediately. However, if you get to the end, you get a little bit of a feeling of accomplishment, so... This is one of the fast attacking gas fellows, which means it can be worth it to just counter him to take him out quickly.
The Skyway's in sight.
If you make it to the Skyway, the level ends and you're sent to the Bastion.
To go. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me.
The narrator is the only other member of the Bastion that we will meet for quite a while.
We talk for a spell. There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores.
The in-universe explanation for how the kid is able to summon platforms beneath his feet is the gear on his back. It points the way to the cores in that it brings up a path that could lead him to them, to allow him to rebuild the Bastion.
All I tell him is to set that core of his on the monument there, then watch.
You can ask the stranger, or the narrator, or Rux, whatever you wish to call him, quite a few things about the items you find. Just about any item that you get will have some sort of discussion text back here at the Bastion. You don't have to listen to them, but they can add a little bit of backstory to a game that's already rich in, well, backstory that you never really get to experience.
I try to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, alright. Except no one else showed up.
So that's the big reveal, I suppose? The Bastion was supposed to be where everyone
Just
met.
like that, the Bastion comes alive.
But no one arrived.
Starts growing again. Growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown.
Every time you bring back a core,
Kid ponders what to build.
you'll be able to build a new, well, area to equip weapons, or area to equip spirits, or upgrade your weapons, or there are a bunch of different things you can do with it, truth be told. For this one, we're going to start with the distillery. We don't really need to switch our arsenal that much at this point, but we can equip a new spirit.
Makes time to sample spirits from my personal supply.
You get quite a few here. Hardy Punch is alright if you find yourself being defeated quite a bit. On higher difficulties, where you might not be able to face your enemies quite as well with only one down before you have to restart the level, Hardy Punch can be a fairly useful item. Where Whiskey gives you 100% critical hit chance, but only when you're low on life. But my favorite by far is Cinder Brick Stout, which allows you to move considerably faster while you're holding your shield.
Cinder Brick Stout sure goes down smooth, then stays in your gut like a
Just
rock.
about anything you do will elicit some sort of reaction from Rux, the narrator. It's actually one of the greatest
The
pieces
Skyway.
of this game.
Now the kid can ride the wind to distant lands.
Before we continue to the next level, we are going to visit our first proving ground, the Breaker Barracks.
The Breakers used to come here for target practice. Used to play a little game. See who could bust the most targets and the fewest shots.
The proving grounds are challenges for a single type of weapon or a single piece of equipment. For the very first one, the Breaker's Bow, the goal is to break all of these spiked fruits, I suppose, durians maybe, before you fire a set amount of shots. I think it's 5 or 6 for the maximum rank. Now, this may sound a little bit daunting at first, but there is an advantage to this stage that I will reveal here.
He's focused. He's armed. And he's off.
This is actually the best music they could have chosen for this stage. And I don't say that just because I like it, because it's the music for all the stages. This music is at the perfect tempo that every 4 beats will be a power shot. So observe. If you start drawing your bow on the beat, just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Perfect shot just happens in a flash.
1, 2, 3, 4. Continue this for all 5 shots, and you'll clear this on your very first try. If you're not so inclined as to be able to hit the beat perfectly, you can retry this stage as many times as you want. There's no disadvantage to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's feeling real proud of that show.
Completing 3rd prize for any given challenge will get you an upgrade material for the weapon you used. Completing 2nd place will get you an upgrade material for a different weapon, and completing 3rd will get you a secret skill unique to the weapon that you equipped. I don't actually use the breaker volley, but collecting a lot of secret skills actually is useful for a point later in the game.
I almost don't believe it when he says he passed the breaker's challenge.
Now, on to the next level. The Workman Ward.
Now he lands at the intersection between bad and wrong. Ought to be a core down one of these twisted streets. But which one?
The Workman Ward is a bit of an interesting stage in that you start in the middle of it, and your only goal is to find the core.
He heads for the east side, where windbags used to keep the local forge.
I actually don't remember this type of enemy. It seems that it's a windbag that knocks you up in the air.
Old forge is still standing.
Oh, jeez. Enemy crates, I completely forgot about these. I will admit this stage is not one of my most well remembered, apart from the fact that you have to go down each of the streets to get everything. But I do remember that down the right street, the top right that is,
inside the forge, Key can fine-tune those instruments.
you find the upgrade station, the forge. Now going to be buildable at the Bastion after this stage, you can use the forge to use the upgrade materials you found to make your weapon better. Regrettably, it doesn't look like we have enough to be able to upgrade the Breaker's Bow to level 2, but I will upgrade the draw speed.
With a good length of meat gut, that bow's like new again.
Next level we'll be able to get plus 50% damage, and that will be fairly nice.
Core ain't here neither, so he's gotta guess again.
Oh, a fast windbag. As you return to the main area, new enemies may spawn. Take care of them in due time, and just continue to whatever area you want to find next. There is a fountain in the middle of the stage.
He heads for the biggest dump in town, Scumbag Alley.
I actually didn't realize what had happened
Scumbags
here
still feeding off
the first time I went through. These scumbags have such poor AI for this street alone. I don't know what it is about this street, but right here, those 4 scumbags are more likely to walk off the edge than they are to walk into you. Just stay clear of their trail, and eventually they'll kill themselves.
The oldest scumbag of them all.
Gershel is a bit of a pushover. Especially considering he kills his own allies.
The Calamity ain't done much for Gershel's sunny disposition.
Unlike the earlier scumbags, Gershel does have an actual attack. He will charge at you at high speed.
They always said old Gershel wouldn't go without a fight.
So long as you can stay out of Gershel's way, he should be alright, but be careful, as he will fire faster and move farther as he gets smaller.
No core, no surprise. Like the gas fellas are hiding it from him.
Depending on the order in which you find the core, whether you find it first or whether you find it fourth, Rux will have new lines each time you return to the middle of the map.
He heads for the squirt steps. Won't be no field trip this time.
I don't know what exactly determines it. I think it's just the fact that those squirts are orange, but some squirts run away from you rather than trying to fight you. It can be a bit irritating if you have to kill all enemies, but otherwise, it's not as much of a problem. Be careful of all the squirts popping up here though. There are quite a few of them.
scumbag can digest just about anything. Except for this. It's quick for slicing and light enough to throw.
The War Machete is a low damage, high attack speed weapon, pretty much the exact opposite of the Kale Hammer, that does actually have a ranged attack that you're able to toss. Just about everything with a toss attack has a power shot in this game as well, so keep that in mind if you're trying to use the War Machete as your primary weapon. Its fast attack speed makes it ideal for taking out low HP enemies like squirts, but you do need to click rapidly to be able to fire it.
They say even the most rambunctious squirts can be tamed.
Squirtler is an interesting ability as it will summon...
No sign of the core here. At least the kid got something for his trouble.
Yes, thank you, Rocks. Squirtler will summon a squirt.
Them squirts just don't know when to quit.
That will help you out.
Squirts don't make the best of friends, but they can be useful in a pinch.
Your friendly squirt will take hits and deal damage for you. Now, you will actually find something sharp here as well, so don't forget that.
Up north is where the gas fella foreman used to live, tending to his flock.
Beware the ambush of windbags and gas fellas. Oh, it is gas fellas, not windbags. Beware the ambush of gas fellas and the security stand here, as it can catch you a bit off guard if you're not completely okay with it.
Know why gas fellas all dress alike? Kids wondering the same thing.
No explanation is ever provided. It's all good.
And there it is, but it's locked down tight in an alloy cage. A blustery old foreman's keeping his fellas in check, almost like he's showboating for the crowd.
The fact that I don't have my ability to fire a bouncing shot since I grabbed the Squirtler is a bit of a disadvantage. But with the Squirtler...
And now there's a new marshal in town.
This fight gets fairly easy. Your squirt will take the fire from the foreman, allowing you to easily take him out with ranged weapons. If you don't have a ranged weapon, like say you equipped your Kale Hammer to the second slot for some reason, it's still possible to toss your War Machete, so there's really no way you shouldn't be able to complete this fight. But if you ever get low on health, you can also go back.
He has the whole place grown, but it's too tough to fall. Kid's ready to go, and his ticket out's right where he started.
Before we leave, I am going to upgrade our bow once more. Might as well do it now.
Kid packs a special surprise in every one of those arrows.
Now, one of the great things about Bastion is if you ever think that you made the wrong choice in your upgrade, you can switch for no cost whatsoever, so long as you've bought that tier. It's actually quite nice. It's something I wish that more games would implement, the ability to freely switch between upgrades. Because otherwise you're going to get people regretting what they've done and wanting to switch more. But unless you give the ability to completely respec points, not unlike this, it's going to be a bit frustrating for the player. They won't be able to do the new build.
He comes back, just like I knew
without
he would.
completely
The core
redistributing
hums
his
in his pack.
abilities.
The monument's calling for it.
Or starting over, even worse.
The windbags used to be alright. Then the calamity took the floor out from under him.
Certain items in the wild will actually bring friendlies back to the Bastion. Only a few of them, but they are useful a bit later in the game. The first one we find is a ragged hood there that will actually spawn a squirt. It will just hang around.
Kid does it again. Only fair he decides what we build next.
Now, I've grabbed all the upgrades I want for now, so what I'm going to do is just build an arsenal.
The Bastion's a place of peace, but we can hold our own if we have
Largely so I can switch back to my proper abilities and equipment.
Ain't much kid can't handle with hammer and bow in hand.
Every single combination of weapons has a different quote from Rux. If you take into account the fact that there are 8 weapons or so, that's somewhere around 70 odd responses.
Of other cores while the kid was out.
Now, we do have 2 places, the Sundown Path or the Melting Pot. I'm pretty sure Melting Pot advances the plot, so I'm going to head to Sundown Path first. I mean, we're gonna complete them both eventually, so it's not really that much of a disadvantage.
Couples used to walk the sundown path. Kid ain't here for pleasure, though.
One of the things that I like most
But
about
then,
Bastion
somebody gets to the core before the kid.
is its ability to
Floor
tell a
starts giving
story
way under the lightest step.
without
The single
completely
panic squirt
lining it
will bring
out.
the whole place down.
Now, the gimmick for this stage is that the floor is collapsing beneath you. Anytime you or an enemy
Fragments of the
steps on the floor,
rain from the sky.
it will collapse. So it can be to your advantage to plan your steps carefully, but you won't really have time to do that.
Stray valuables are lying everywhere. Kid thinks twice about risking his hide for him, though. Well, the path ain't exactly open to visitors no more. See, the path was intended for leisurely strolling and such. Not so much for noise and tomfoolery.
So what kind of a place, if it truly was as good as Ruck says, equips their leisurely path with a lethal security system for those who make noise? It's one of your first hints that Caelondia may not have been
Sky bridges
the perfect
link the
place
path
that
together.
Rux makes it out to be. Well, that and the fact that they triggered the end of the world.
One of them bridges whips the kid along. Finds a spyglass, like the ones they'd use to search the stars. Quick and careful's the only way to go.
Luckily, the skybridge tile cannot fall, so
The calamity
you're safe.
changed everything, even where the wind blows.
Security systems along the side of the path are easy picking when you have the Breaker's Bow to defend yourself. And take note, even if you don't get the counter on those enemies, you are still able to fairly easily take them out just with a fully
Well,
charged
we
shot.
mastered the winds in the old days. We can do it again. But the question is, who else could have taken the core? Well, ain't no survivor stole the thing. Scumbag ate it by mistake.
That's all it was. No other people trying to compete with us through the end of the world.
Tough break. Unlike the kid, that core ain't coming back.
No great conspiracy, anything of that sort. Something ate it.
No, they used to ship live munitions down the path. He's wise to toss those things plenty far away.
Now, the hand grenade is a bit of an interesting secret skill, in that its primary use is crowd control, but it doesn't require a weapon to do so. The hand grenade is one of the skills that can be equipped regardless of what you have equipped.
Even gas fellas need some shut-eye from time to time. They get real cranky when you wake them up.
Clearing this area out of Gasfella's boxes before you actually fight them can make a fairly effective way of combating them.
In all his toil, Kid keeps coming back to an overwhelming question. Who else could have survived the calamity? So he didn't find the core that time, but that ain't about to stop us.
I don't actually know if that level is mandatory or not. I'd assume so, to complete the game, that you'd have to complete all the stages, but I've never not done it, so it's entirely possible you can skip that one.
We could always see the stars, we just never could reach them. no matter how high we build.
Obligatory zoom out to show the hand-painted artwork beneath. Artwork. Oh dear. Can't speak, evidently. That is something to note. A good deal of all of the artwork in this game is hand-drawn. And I did actually see that completing that stage unlocked a new proving ground, so I'm going to... Oh, I don't have a forge yet. Never mind. I'll upgrade my weapons after this next stage.
In better days, the melting pot was sealed tighter than the skin on a squirt.
Alright.
Of all the plans to survive the calamity, it had to be stabweeds.
As you may have guessed, stabweeds are not something you want to hang around on a regular basis. They'll deal damage just from contact, but can be killed, so... You can either just dodge them or tear through them.
If there's a core, he figures it ought to be deeper
But
down.
if you have a melee weapon, it can be fairly difficult to take out stabweeds. Now, for this, you'll want to take out most of the stabweeds before you begin this
It
next
cuts
fight.
down every stabweed like there's gotta be a prize
Nope.
for it. Core stuck inside one of those fancy cages.
I am going to pick up that item here, trip mines, but not for a minute. I'm going to need my dancing shot for this next fight.
He throws a switch. Now what could possibly go wrong?
Flipping that switch will trigger a fight
Quite a bit, as it turns out.
for the core.
The cage starts lifting from the core ever so slow. All Kid can do is wait.
When you start seeing crates falling from the
Shipments
sky,
start falling in.
be sure to kill them before they spawn. If you deal damage to a crate, it will momentarily stop its spawn, so that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Not every squirt's born bad. Some spring to the kid's defense.
Now, there are a ton of squirts, and it's... Oh,
Judging by the movement of
never
the
mind, I
cage,
guess I could
it's
grab
gonna
the
take
trip
a
mine,
while.
considering I still have the hand grenade anyway.
Some of the stuff lying around is downright dangerous.
Just be sure to take out as many crates as you can before they spawn. It helps you. Also, attempt to keep your squirts alive. They'll take fire from you and make sure that you don't have too much trouble surviving this fight.
Scumbags don't take kindly to interlope.
Make sure to not stand in scumbag goo. It doesn't do you too well. Oh no, I guess those enemies
Even
do
some
just
gas
keep
fellas take his
running off
corner.
the edge.
Heard it pop that mean old foreman.
So, we even get a couple of gas fellows to help us out with this fight. If you're just on normal difficulty without any idols whatsoever,
At this rate, maybe 5 more minutes. Maybe 30.
it's
Hard
not
to
a
tell.
particularly difficult fight. Take out security systems before anything else, as they have a lot more chances to deal damage to your allies than just
Squirts
about
get
anything
real
else.
territorial around the core. Then a shipment of free samples shows up. It ain't all bad, as the kid finds some spices from the motherland, tax-free.
Killing the stabweeds also helps out your little allied units, as they're a bit too dumb to not run through them.
One thing's for sure, that cage is awful heavy.
Once more, Terminal March playing during a fight just about never fails to make the fight fairly interesting.
It's a troublesome scene, to be sure.
Are all of my allies dead already? Oh, that's fun. Now, I did just demonstrate the trip mine so you can see
Few
how it
moments
works.
left, and the core goes free.
But-
10, 9, 8, 7. You give or take a few seconds. Finally, the core's within reach. And done.
It is open, but we're going to take the moment to grab a few items around here first. Every health tonic or black tonic that you grab that you don't need will give you 10 experience. Considering you get 100 experience from a regular pickup, that's actually not too bad. Meteors will continue falling from the sky until you grab everything, though. There we are. Grab the core.
He's got it. Just gotta get to the nearest barge.
And just head towards the bottom right where you'll find a barge to get you out of here. Is that the end of the level? I guess it is. It's just one big fight. I thought there was more to that.
I still remember the look on his face after that one.
There we are. If we present the spices to Rux, he'll have a little thing to say about that.
Folks voyaged across the boundless sea to found Caelondia. It was good living here for a while.
Oh, you can press F to zoom out manually. I didn't realize that.
The old world's finished, but the new world's just getting started.
So, we'll build our third structure here, the forge.
A lot of things need fixing up in this
And we'll take
world,
advantage of it
and we
immediately
can start right here.
to grab more for the Fang repeater.
Turns out those old bones still have some spark in them.
I am going to give it additional ammo capacity just so I can complete this challenge on the Trapper's Shingle.
No place better than Trapper's Shingle for learning to tread light and shoot straight. Trappers had to tread real careful here, else take a nasty fall.
This is, in my opinion,
They train themselves by clearing out the targets, while not clearing out the floor.
one of the most difficult of the Proving Grounds, simply because I hate the Fang repeater and how it operates. But it was fairly simple after someone revealed the trick to me. Holding shift, so your shots will auto-target Durians, does help you out
Any
considerably.
good trapper knows never to take a step till the time is right.
Just run ahead, hold shift, fire a couple of shots, reload, and then rinse and repeat. If you manage it correctly, you should be able to get all the Durians before you get out of here. If you're unable to do it without one or two upgrades, just wait until you get more. Spending a couple of fragments to get the final upgrade materials is never a bad move. But try to use most of your clip before you move again, or you might find yourself running out of room to stand on, like I am. Oh dear.
Expert trappers got something extra to give them an edge.
I'll be right back after I complete this level again with another upgrade for the repeater.
Master trappers got what they needed for a better hunt.
Destroying every target will get you the snooze dart ability. And it is fairly difficult to destroy every target without plus 50% damage, and damn near impossible to do it without lock-on. So, be sure to use both.
The trappers would have been impressed with how the kid handled the shingle.
Now let's trade back out for our dancing shot ability, shall we? And head to the next stage. Oh, no, another proving ground. Windbag Ranch. Actually fairly easy to complete, even with just basic upgrades.
Windbag Ranch was built for gathering squirt extract in copious supply. Ain't nothing more healthful.
Now, this level can be difficult unless you know the single trick to make it a lot easier. What you'll want to do is grab the war machete and then immediately roll towards the middle of the area just up and to the left of you. All of the squirts that just move normally and attempt to attack you will spawn from the exact same location. If you can manage to catch most of them coming out, it's going to make things a lot easier on you.
Some folks showed up to make a fast buck with nothing but a knife.
If one gets away, that's fine,
Throwing arms.
but just make sure that you get most of them as they come out, or things are
Still
going to be a
others
lot
use
more
blades to
difficult for
test
you.
their finest blades.
There we go. Now, these security systems will pop down if you get too near, so just throw your blades to be able to take them out. The sooner you take out the enemy spawners, the easier it's also going to be on you, since you need to kill any enemies spawned by the spawner before you can finish the level as well. The faster you can click, the easier this level will be. I have no idea where the last two enemies are. Damn it. This is one of the disadvantages to letting any squirts get away. It can be fairly difficult to hit them.
Kid makes short work of them things.
Second prize. Alright, I'll see you all when I successfully complete this for first prize. 8 seconds short, yeah, if I kept an eye on them.
Kid carves through all.
Got him with a second to spare. Oh, wonderful. Completing this task will get you the Ghost Blade ability, another one that I will never use.
Well, the kid's gone and struck terror in the hearts of squirts everywhere.
If you need to, you can upgrade your ability to have extra critical hit or cripple. It's not really going to help you. The thing you'll need most to be able to complete that level is the ability to click very, very quickly. Now, on to the next stage. The Hanging Gardens.
The dead welcome him with open arms. The calamity took everybody after all. Kid sees it plain, frozen faces all around. He don't much care to see him. Not like this. These folks never saw the calamity coming, but someone did. Someone close. Someone who ain't like Mr. Beckley and his kindly wife. It was someone like him.
And here we find our first survivor. Besides the kid and the narrator.
In the flesh.
With just the weirdest expression on his face.
It's a snag or two trying to get to him. He ain't about to stop, no matter what.
Security will attempt to ambush you. Power shots should take care of them in short order.
After all.
Or a dancing shot if you have that equipped. But just be careful. This small enclosed area can make for a very difficult fight with that many security systems.
Didn't make it. They never saw what it was like beyond the walls. Nor did the bird boy. Didn't make it. The Jawsons. They didn't make it. Grady Sr., Grady Jr. They didn't make it. But him, he survived. Kid finds proof enough that man ain't from around here.
And now he's just staring over this way, apparently. He switched his location, decided to trade in his staring blankly at the sky from 5 feet to the right.
We wouldn't be here right now, would we?
Rux isn't talking in the present tense. That is to say, Rux isn't narrating as the kid is doing this. And he's not talking to us either. But it's going to be a little while until it's explicitly stated who he is talking
to. And then,
to.
What do you say to a man who's seen too much? Kid hasn't a clue, but he says this. We have to go. Please.
And so, our party grows by 1.
He's a proper gentleman, that man. His name is Zolf. No hiding he's an Ura. Folks like him ain't never been a common sight in Caelondia. He's relieved to see a living face or two. The kid and I introduce ourselves in kind. Both to him and to each other. For the first time.
So now, finally, instead of stranger, he's identified as Rux.
We fought the Ura decades ago, but that was then. Things are different between us now.
Backstory that isn't as clear if you don't pay attention completely, is mostly in the small details. The biggest detail, the one that's overwhelmingly obvious, is the fact that there was a massive war between a place called Zealandia and with a people called the Ura. Now, after the end, you really don't have much choice of friends, and Zulf seems a kind enough sort. But the undercurrent of Zealandia versus the Ura will be the single driving force behind the game.
For Zulf, Zealandia was like a second home. He's real worried about his first home, too. Far to the east. We all lost loved ones in the calamity, he says. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without mine. Zulf offers to help me plot the skyways for the kid. At least the calamity hasn't touched the stars, he says.
So the calamity was a localized event. At the very least, it was contained to the planet that they were on. I suppose that's somewhat comforting.
He was born in the Tazzle terminals. The Ura sent him on a mission of peace to our city, and he's lived here ever since.
So he's an ambassador, an emissary. Very nice.
They remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are gonna be alright.
With that, 3 more things start to spawn. Now, the Lost and Found can allow you to buy additional upgrade items, as well as get anything that you may have missed along the path earlier. But I'm going to build the memorial first. The memorial is a good thing to get up as soon as possible, as it will allow you to, well, get a lot of extra shards of the old world.
The memorial. Here, a kid can pay respect to the old world and earn it in kind.
Achievements, if you will, but achievements that will earn you fragments. It shows you the reward for whatever task you complete, as well as the conditions for completing it. Getting mementos, learning secret skills, raising pieces of the land. This is actually one of the ones that you'll complete near the end of the game. It's actually quite well worked out. Defeating different types of creatures, and then single skills with different weapons, including one we haven't seen yet.
The valediction. Just another one of my sketches. Nothing more. Words can't express what happened, but they're all I got.
So with that,
we
are
tracked down
going.
a couple more cores near the edge of the city.
Now, you can go to a couple places, but I'm going to go to Pith Orchard, the god of commotion and order.
No use praying to the gods these days. No time for it either. Pith Orchard. The place is a dead end in more ways than one.
The orchard is another one of the stages that I'm
Folks
not
used to
entirely
make
sure is
pilgrimage here
required.
to pay their respects to Pith, the bull. Well, the gods are long gone now. And the orchard core is long gone too.
One of the interesting things about this game, or the world of Bastion, is that the
stood for
gods,
something once. Something real.
the gods aren't only just real, they're
In
angry.
time, though, the bull stopped being a symbol and started being decoration. He couldn't even save his loyal subjects. Pith makes a decent scarecrow, at least. Then Pith lights up like a rodeo.
The Pith bulls are really the only god-representing enemy you'll encounter,
Punching through his hide.
but they're also fairly simple. If you stand within the range of their flame breath, you're probably going to have a fairly poor time trying to
Breaks him
live.
to bits. Must have been guarding that shrine.
But if you can get one alone, you can defend it fairly well.
So what'll it be? Invoke the gods? Or tell them off?
So, here's the thing. Every single god has their own shrine. And with every god you invoke, different things will happen. In the case of Pith, if you equip his ability, you'll get a 10% bonus to experience and the fragments you receive, but your foes are faster, moving and attacking.
Kid decides to press his luck.
And immediately the game wants to show you why that may not have been the best idea. There we go, got the counter on that third attack. Took me a bit longer than it should have, but... If you ever find the game a bit too easy,
maybe old Pith put a scare in him.
If you ever think the game starts to get too easy, just equip a couple of the... well, what would you call them? The idols? Yes, the idols at the shrines. It'll make the enemies more difficult, though some of them are a little bit silly to try and counter. Like, there's one that makes enemies randomly reflect damage, which is to say they take no damage from a single attack, which if you have something that hits a lot of times with small damage, that won't be as much of an issue. But if you have a weapon that relies on single powerful strikes, like the Breaker's Bow, you might be in a bit of trouble. But as you can see, the rewards might just justify it. Now, that Pithbull is also alive, but if you stand out of his range and don't trigger him,
and he's richer for it.
If you stand out of his range, you will be able to just poke away at him with the Breaker's Bow. Makes things a bit easier for you. Plus, you've got Terminal March playing for the entire segment. How can you lose?
Kid ain't found a core, but at least he found Zolf's precious shrine.
The Earl were a lot more respectful of the gods than the Caelondians were, so
Now we
Zolf,
can build a shrine
as an
of our
Ura,
own, though I got some alternatives in mind.
Zolf as an Ura respects them a bit more. I did actually forget to pick up the Pith plush in there, which I'm going to be able to get at the Lost and Found here pretty soon, but it's a bit of a pity that I forgot it. Oh well. Oh, here we go. The Bullhead Court. One of the most interesting proving grounds, in my opinion.
The accused always got a fair shake in Caelondia. Some used to take the bullhead trial.
No skills, no upgrades, just cash. But the only weapon you have is the shield.
Scratch, you'd walk away a free man.
You're judged not on how well you kill the enemies, but on how little damage you take. Or how little hits you take, rather. Countering is essential to being able to win through this. You could try to roll the enemies to death, but that would be fairly difficult. I believe 3 hits or less are required to win this stage.
The bullhead trial taught folks 3 things. First, a good defense is a good offense. Second, you gotta always watch your back. Third, ain't no godlike bull up there gonna save you.
There we are. Now, there is actually an upgrade you can get that can make this fight considerably... Oh, I took a hit. Shoot. An upgrade that you can get that can make this fight considerably easier. 2 hits. Man, I cannot get the timing down for these windbags, it seems. I think it's when they shake? Yeah, there we go. It's when they shake. Cool. Oh, he's a bit of a dangerous one. He'll fire multiple shots. So if you have more than one enemy, and some of them are the red one, it might be a bit more difficult to counter simply due to the fact that you'll auto-lock onto the next enemy as soon as the first one dies. Oh, evidently that wasn't counter-worthy. Let's try that again. There we are. If you can find a location where the security system won't fire at you, it can make things a little bit easier. Surprisingly, squirts can actually be one of the most difficult enemies to spot the proper counter timing for. Not to mention, if they... oh, 3 hits. I think that's my limit. If I take another, I'm going to have to restart. Oh, you can also get enemies to fire on one another. It's not as common, but it could be useful. It appears to have served me well twice already, so take that for what it's worth. One enemy left. Now time for the boss part of the stage, essentially.
Just step aside and let things go.
And that is the only hint you get for this part of the level, to step aside and let things go. The goal of this is not to kill this scumbag, but to get it to charge off the edge. But be careful, if you step in the slime it leaves behind, it will hurt you and count as a hit.
The kid pulls it off like it was nothing.
But, surprisingly, normally I like to clear level 2, get these out of the way. It makes it a bit easier to take out the scumbag, but he was cooperative this time and I managed to complete the level on the first try. So, for your troubles you'll get 3,000 fragments, which is a massive amount of cash in the early game.
There's a hint of pride in his eye when he gets back, and more than a hint in mine.
So with that, we'll head out for the next level. Cinder Brick Fort.
There's only one way to Cinder Brick Fort. The hard way.
Well, it
Sure,
wouldn't
the
be too
city
much
marshals
fun if it
may
were
be
easy,
gone.
would it?
But now the fort's crawling with windbags.
Alright, as soon as you get into the level, there are going to be a couple of crates up here. Be sure to fire at them before they spawn, or you'll have more than a couple of squirts on your hands.
Normal folks. The windbags ain't so lucky.
It's always a bit of a crapshoot what walls you can and cannot fire through here.
They've been left to freeze, or starve, or face the kid.
But the bottom line is that you can fire through the doors, but any shots that hit the doors will bounce off. A bit of a barren level at the very beginning, but I suppose that fits with the theme. Oh, come on, really? That blocks the shot? There we go. A counter shot is able to take the enemy out fairly easily.
Kid's ready for the windbags this time.
There we are.
The
So,
windbags, young and old, keep fighting for the fort.
if you ever get knocked into the air, you can press the space bar to recover in the air with a roll. It's actually a fairly effective means
At least the
of
marshals
taking
left the
things
kid
out.
a parting gift.
Ah, one of my other favorite items in the
Something
game.
the windbags just can't handle.
The scrap musket.
Something that'll punch clean through their greasy hides.
The scrap musket deals a moderate amount of damage, but it deals it in a large arc. If you have an enemy up
Windbags ain't much
close,
different from normal folks.
you're going to be able to
All
do
they
quite a
want's
bit.
A warm place to stay and a decent meal.
However, one of the disadvantages to this is the fact that if you had your bow equipped and the special skill for your bow equipped, you're gonna have a bit of trouble, considering you now have no secret skill
The
whatsoever.
Calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort.
Now, one of the things about the memorial is you have to kind of plan out the tasks. In this case, I did just get the marshals by making sure that I took out 10 enemies or more with a single shot from the musket. Letting a bunch of squirts spawn here is probably the earliest and easiest method of getting this done. Just because there are so many spawners.
In the business underground like in the old days.
Now, security systems are a bit more difficult for me at this point, since, well... Oh wow, that actually worked out fairly well. These homing shots are a bit odd, in that when you counter them, they react in a very strange What in the world? There's a hole there? There we go. Alright.
Windbags can't use the marshal supplies, but the kid sure can.
Now, here's where my build gets a little bit different from the standard melee ranged. I actually use the scrap musket as my secondary weapon. What you can do is you can fire off a shot from the breaker's bow, and then almost immediately fire off a shot from the musket, to get a lot of burst damage on a single target and at range. Not to mention, the musket's reload time is so short, that it's practically like you're swinging the hammer anyway.
Brick gave him enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Can't blame them for wanting it, though.
Bunch of enemies start spawning as soon as you enter this area. Take them out from range, so they don't start spawning while you're not able to take them out due to your being preoccupied with a windbag or two yourself.
So many of those sorry things hold up inside that old fort. Not a scratch on him as he presses on to higher ground.
There was a scratch, but we healed it up. Remember, if you deal any damage to the crate, it stops them from spawning for a moment. Even if it's just a shot from the musket dealing a little bit of damage, it should be enough to hold off the enemy spawn for a couple of seconds and allow you to deal more damage to kill the box before they can hurt you. Something I haven't mentioned yet, I don't think. The breaker's bow does pierce enemies. Try to fire in a line that will be able to hit multiple targets. This was probably obvious during the breaker's challenge, where I had to shoot all of those durian fruit in 5 shots, I think it was. But it's always worth mentioning. The musket's also excellent for helping you take out all the stab weeds in the path. One enemy actually takes out the other and opens himself up to a musket shot from that dodge there. Unintended, but fun.
Security's plane gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works.
And anytime the Terminal March plays, you can expect it to be a bit of a fight scene, so... In this case, it's going to be the security system that you're fighting against. Quite a few of them, and they're all flamethrowers, so they're pretty much melee range for all intents and purposes. Just dodge what they have, or attack them from range and you should be fine. But be careful, they can track at fairly high speed, and they don't really have too much downtime.
The kid in the middle of the fort's parade grounds.
Now, in the middle of the parade grounds, security systems are going to spawn continually around you. The faster you take out the enemies, the better off you're going to be. If you're wearing headphones, you can actually sort of hear where the enemies are going to spawn, which can help you out a bit.
Then they bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles.
Apparently, that dancing shot didn't want to bounce. It's a bit of a pity.
To gain, and only their sorry hides to lose. Kid takes down Glutus. Or maybe it was Glandon.
I have absolutely no idea. Oh, it seems I'm out of black tonic. It's a bit of a problem since I want to fire off another dancing shot.
His brother, wherever they are now.
There we go. If you let Glutus and Glandon fire too much, they will start to take out the floor in larger and larger quantities. So try to kill them before that happens. For completing this fight, you will get the Marshal's Badge memento, and your ticket out of the stage.
Marshal's Badge, but not like this. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort. Kid shows up just as Zulf's telling me about his own journey to the city.
So let's present the Marshal's Badge to Zulf.
A good man, he says. They treated him with dignity.
So where the rest of the city might have been a bit corrupt, the Marshals, the musket-wielding police force, were apparently pretty cool people.
Zulf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals.
And apparently it was untouched by the Calamity, too. That's handy.
Even since the Ura surrendered to us, the Marshals kept a wary eye on him.
A wary eye, but it seems not an unkind one.
Zulf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this.
Now, we are going to build the shrine last. I'm probably not going to be using shrine idols on this playthrough, since most of the purpose of this LP is just to kind of demonstrate how cool the game Bastion is and some of its more interesting just storyline elements rather than to display, hey, look at me, I can turn on all the shrine idols and get through without using any of my renewal chances or anything like that. I don't know what the challenges are for this game, truth be told, but I'm sure there are people who've gotten quite good at it. Now,
the lost and found. Here, kid takes fragments of the old world and makes them whole again.
Using...
all it takes is some fragments, and the Bastion makes it good as new.
What Rux is explaining is that the items here are either things that you've missed or things that are unlocked by upgrading the, or building the lost and found. So you can find upgrade materials here. I'm actually going to get something stringy and something coarse right off the bat. I am going to get Bastion Bourbon, which is an amazing skill that gives you +2 to your potions and makes them heal a lot more. And I'm going to grab Lunkhead Liqueur as well, since it doubles the damage you deal with counter-blocking, which is what I was talking about when I mentioned...
ain't much good in the crowd, but a musket sure is.
And Rux actually just summed up why I used the combination of them. Here we are. Now... Rifle barrel, +50% range, -50% spread.
You want to tune a scrap musket, you start with the barrel.
I don't actually think that the spread means how many shots it fires. I think it literally just means the spread of the shots. So you have a more accurate musket, and I see no disadvantage to that. You could add spread at the cost of range, but why would you? I mean, that really doesn't seem effective. And I'm going to grab
the
damage
learn
to start
pack
here.
Those shells full of fire.
There we are. And I get my last upgrade material for the bow. For now, I'm going to get another draw speed.
Like a prize fighter.
So my bow is now quite powerful. Oh, before we head off though. Zulf's smoking pipe was mentioned. And that will actually take us...
The Calamity saved for Zulf was a smoking pipe.
That will take us to
Poor kid
somewhere else.
After just one drag. The past. Only good thing ever come out of the past is history.
Who knows where, dude? Who knows where is an interesting idea. It's basically an arena. You'll take on waves and waves of enemies and you'll get cash for it. So be sure to bring your best weapons and be sure to tune them up for ideal performance. In this particular one, there are sky bridges in the edges.
Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started.
The sky bridges will launch you up into the air, from which you can dodge enemies and get back to the center of the arena a little bit easier. Now,
Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie.
One of the things about Who Knows Where is that there's storyline as well as arenas. Every single time you go to Who Knows Where, Rux tells someone's story. In this case, it's the kids.
He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his.
Where's that spawn? Oh, it's hiding behind the memorial.
Having his mama's hair did the kid no favors while he was growing up, but he learned to hold his own out there.
These scumbags don't have as much health as you might think, right off the bat.
School ain't working
Just
out,
keep away
so
from
the
them.
kid signs up for a turn on the rippling walls. Make his mama some money.
The rippling walls were Caelondia's method
Thanks
of
to folks
defense.
like the kid, the walls kept Caelondia safe from whatever's out there.
Whatever's out
The
there,
elements, the Ura, you name it.
the Ura most specifically. Most of the rest of this stage is just going to be me taking out the enemies fairly simply.
Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too.
And since most of the rest of it is storyline, I'm actually not going to comment for pretty much the rest of this part of Who Knows Where. I'll see you all back at the Bastion.
The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Caelondia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, a kid learned to fend for himself, learn to build, learn to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing where the world used to be. The calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, he ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. Willie finally arrived at Zealandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. But then, all he got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made them real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would.
Alright, so who knows where? An excellent place to train up if you're trying to grind EXP for whatever reason, but most people don't do that, so. But if you'll remember, we did complete the memorial for the Marshals.
The Marshals kept the city's peace. They can rest easy now.
Which gets us an extra 500 fragments as well, so we're actually getting quite rich on those. But we don't have anything to spend them on right now, so let's continue. Oh! Proving ground for the Marshals. Good.
Ever felt a Zolwood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, Marshals learned to make every shot count.
I might actually have to switch my upgrades for this one after the first time through.
The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo.
You're supposed to try to knock
Most
them off
Marshals
the
didn't
edge,
get far on their
generally.
first few tries.
I don't remember how many shots it is to clear everything out with highest ranking, but I know I'm probably not going to make it without the added knockback perk.
Had to catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot.
That's the plan, Rux.
Funny thing about muskets is they work best up close.
18 shots.
Not an itchy trigger finger.
Second prize, so I'll be coming back here after switching around my musket upgrades a bit to better allow me to get through here.
Marshals did more than just stand around shooting, of course. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. Kid takes a little personal time for just him and his favorite musket. Plenty of gourds to go around, even now. Marshals like to fine-tune their muskets to get better results. The best
8
of the
shots.
best cleared the course in
That's
just a
all it
few
took.
shots.
8 shots with greater spread and increased knockback. It's kind of ridiculous how easy it is once you get the proper upgrades. Without it, I'm sure it's still possible, just...
Kid probably could have made himself marshal one day.
So we're going to go ahead and switch back. I did pick up the 3rd upgrade for the musket, which I didn't have to switch around. Tactical stock reduces penalty to long-range damage. So you get to fire on enemies who are further away without dealing nearly no damage whatsoever. I'm going to pick up the sledge head really quickly. And I'm actually going to get the other upgrade material from the Lost and Found.
Finders keepers.
What can we get next? Uppercut attacks cause knockback?
Ain't never letting go of his old friend with a sturdy grip like that.
Before we head out, though, let's also pick up a new Spirit at the Distillery. We did hit level 3 a while ago, after all. I'm going to equip the Bastion Bourbon.
If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion Bourbon.
Has this guy done commercials yet? I feel like he's being wasted not doing those. We're going to head to one more proving ground here, the Scrapyard.
The city's unwanted things all met their end in the yard. Folks who fouled up will do their time here, smashing things to bits.
Alright, don't grab this until you're absolutely ready to do so, because you need to smash just about every object that you see on screen, which, mind, is a lot of them, in, oh shoot, what is it, 56 seconds or something like that for the top rank? It sounds alright, but then you realize you can only miss like 4 of them and things start to get a bit more difficult. Before I start, I'll just explain quickly, because I'm going to be focusing and not talking for most of this, that rolling into small objects like these is one of the best ways to take them out.
The quicker they worked, the sooner they could go.
Why is that on my right click? Oh god.
Folks learn to plant their feet and put their backs into it.
A quick tip from Rux saying that if you stand still you deal more damage to objects so you can more easily kill them. Now if you're thinking...
There's a course to navigate that sea of junk. A good day smashing.
Okay, 31 seconds was not enough, so it is still... How short is it? Is it 27 seconds? It is. I was thinking of twice the time. Alright, let me go upgrade my hammer again, and I'll try that once more. It's probably going to take me a couple of times.
Ever want to just smash things for a while? You know where to go.
It'll be worth it to get another skill. What else can we get? Another 50% damage.
Is only as strong as its spine. That's a strong spine.
Oh, sail. Sail hammer, not kale hammer. Oh dear. Sailondia, I suppose.
Kid pays another visit to the scrapyard for old time's sake.
That being on right click kinda threw me off at the very beginning too. Oh well. On to busting down things.
You worked too slow, and all you got was a sore back.
The extra damage on the kale hammer, sail hammer.
To forge even better hammers. The strongest, fastest
26.
folks earn more than their fair share.
Probably won't even cut that out, that was so short. Good times. So we got Stunning Wallop, which stuns enemies in a certain area around this sail hammer.
The kids
it's gonna be odd
worked
to
the
learn
yard
to say.
before, but that time it just plain destroyed it.
Now, I think that with that I am just going to head out to the next stage. What is it? Oh, I remember this one. The Langston River.
The Langston River flowed free and wild till the calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off.
Well, maybe the water didn't, but something certainly had wings around here. And we're going to meet it for the first time.
Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core, they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat.
I'm going to get rid of the stab weeds here really quickly.
Weepin' Nellie. She sends some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. The security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns.
Which seems a bit odd to me. I mean, wouldn't
Just
ships that were designed for heading down the
she's
river?
sailing with. They're pretty steamed about what happened at Cinderbrick.
They can deal with it. Now, enemies are going to be both coming in from other boats and dropping directly onto your boat. So, be sure to keep an eye out for them. Keeping your bow charged at pretty much all times if you're using it is never a bad move, since it can kill a
They try to
security
slow her down.
bot with a single shot.
They try to knock her out.
And you don't have to take out the enemies on the side, but remember, every enemy you take out is more experience
Well,
for you.
Weepin' Nellie tries harder.
So,
Try as she might, though, she hits a snag. Kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors.
whoa. Oh dear. It appears I accidentally minimized Bastion there for a second, folks. Sorry about that.
At least she picked a good spot for a break, because the core is right there.
Oh, an arsenal. I wonder why that's there. I honestly can't recall. Oh, it's so if you have bad weapons for this, you can switch out before the next fight. That's actually quite nice. But yes, the core is right where Weeping Nellie broke down.
Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings.
Peckers are one of the most irritating enemies in the game, simply because they swarm at you with such a speed that it's kind of difficult to keep away from them at times. Using the musket, they can be fairly easy to take care of.
They've been watching us every move.
But still, something that can be a bit irritating.
They had their own eyes on the core. But why?
Especially...
Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds Weepin' Nellie raring to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough.
Now, one of the shrine idols actually does make it so enemies also drop explosives that
She's
go
gonna
off
need
after a
little
moment.
help with all them peckers. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. The rest of us only wish we could fly at times like these.
But if you have the the shrine idol on that causes enemies to drop explosives, peckers can be one of the most dangerous enemies in the game, because if you shoot them with their melee range, the bomb will just about instantly explode on you, dealing massive amounts of
Security
damage.
skiffs keep on coming starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot, as long as they hit something.
Luckily, you do have a couple of flamethrowers to help you with all the peckers through this first stage. If you don't keep them away very well, though, you will be losing those flamethrowers fairly early.
The windbag's getting even better idea. They aim to smash Weepin' Nellie to splinters.
Oh.
Well, it all proves too much for poor Nellie.
I fell off once. That's going to be reflected by Rux at the end there.
She's just gotta make one last stop. her last breath, Ellie gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in the Pecker country. They want that core real bad. Might be they want it just as bad as a kid. Kid shoos them off, knowing they'll be back.
Now, the big peckers are actually among the easiest enemies to counter in the game.
Couple of times. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part.
A post-calamity superiority complex.
Why go to Prosper Bluff?
It's a good question. Why go to Prosper
Used
Bluff?
to take an enterprising man or a plain old fool to venture out that far.
Well, kid's here.
The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't.
So it sounds like people may have not been allowed to leave the city very often.
And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it?
I guess.
There the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? Yeah, that's the one.
The peckers that fire at you repeatedly can be countered just as easily as, say, a security system. So, it's not too bad. Oh, come on, I didn't fall off there. A lot of people, myself included, consider this one of the best songs to come out of Bastion, which is saying something. But if you listen a little bit closer to the lyrics of the song, you'll realize that despite the singer's talent and the skill of the guitar player, it's actually a threat. The entire song is a threat from the Ura to Caelondia. Oh, doesn't make it any less good. That decrease to the damage fall off is actually doing us quite well against all these peckers. Well, let's see here. Oh, almost didn't see that big one there. We've just got to find all the switches to get out of here. Oh, geez. I think I may have missed an item over to the side there. Oh, I can still go that way. Good. The switch I did just trigger is completely optional. You don't have to. It gets you an extra health potion and a couple of fragments. And there's really no disadvantage to going to it. Now, you do actually have to use the sky bridge first to get to the area of your fight this time around. Counters are still fairly easy to pull off against these birds. Just counter them until they're dead and then keep moving. I don't know, I really think this stage is a nice relaxing one. No sound except for the sound of the, admittedly, the sound of the peckers and the singer. And just a lot of sky bridges, and I love flying on sky bridges, I really do. I think it's fun. The idea of flying up into the air and then just kind of crashing down afterwards is your primary method of transportation. I don't know, that just seems, on the one hand it's funny, on the other hand it's quite well implemented.
Well, no point explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes. They'll be here before too long.
Well, that's ominous.
We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we?
A fourth person. Hooray!
Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it.
Neither do I. We're only an hour and a half into the
Scientific
game.
journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much.
Too much.
If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away.
Oh boy. Alright, so a couple of new things to talk to Zia about.
Most of the Ura never got a taste of Ceylondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here.
Okay, so Ura born and raised in the
Sure,
city.
the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see. But leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there, and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal.
So already we get to piece together a couple of things. It's her father's journal, it holds the secrets of the Calamity, and Zolf learned too much from it. Well, that's just not very nice at all. Let's check the Lost and Found, see if I missed anything important. Oh, the plush pith. Here we go.
It wasn't fixed. It was unbroken.
And I am gonna actually... No, I'm not gonna pick up those skills. No need to. If I show Rux the plush pith here, or Zolf the plush pith.
Zolf doesn't touch the thing. Says the god of commotion is no children's toy.
We now have one of the angry bulls
The
to
Ura feared
ourselves.
the gods. We turned them into toys, put their faces on our walls.
Well, I guess there's your difference in society.
We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds.
The wilds. That sounds fun.
The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it.
I'm not a big fan of this level, simply because it forces the dueling pistols on you at the very beginning.
Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two.
At least,
Savage
the
things
unupgraded.
lurking at every turn.
the slinger pistol is another weapon that can fire
Good thing pin cushions can't see where they're
just
shooting.
about as fast as you can manage. It is literally only limited by how fast you can click, or how fast you can press the button if you have a console version of this game. That being said, it does have some bullet spread, which is kind of irritating. There we go. Killing that bird got me some health back. But...
Pecker's
there
got
we
the
go.
core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon.
Taking out a couple of peckers, then we also have even more of these enemies. If you do stand close to
shouldn't have
them,
let
you
their guard
can
down.
manage to counter quite a few of their attacks.
Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight.
Alright, and now we're somewhere completely different.
Wallflowers survive the calamity.
Now, wallflowers are a bit of a pain.
It toughened them up.
As soon as you deal damage to them, they'll lock up for a couple of seconds. So you want to deal a lot of burst
Best
damage.
take it real slow when pin cushions are afoot.
But they take the opportunity to give you wallflowers on the stage where you have the multiple hit
Johnson's
weapon.
old outpost is all that's left of him.
So we're not going to take that with.
Kid sticks to his old standbys.
After all, the Breaker's Bow has enough range to take out these enemies fairly easily. But don't forget to pick up the upgrade materials.
Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Kid's seen the last of them.
What's that noise? Sounded like someone having gas troubles. Or burping. Whoa.
Kid's roused up half the wilds by now.
Ah. Firing peckers. Just counter their attacks and you should be able to take them out in due time. Once we get level 4, it'll be a lot easier to take out these peckers with counterattacks, because we'll be able to deal double damage with counterattacks by then.
Then Kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals.
A lunkhead. Lunkheads are an interesting enemy that actually require a little bit of strategy to get around. They can only be hurt from the back. Giant, armored front, you know the drill with these types of enemies.
Must have scrambled their eggs.
Additionally, they will fall to the ground.
Sees a smooth black stone coughed up by the Calamity. Be seeing plenty more.
If you examine this sandbag, it will drop something
Leave
burnt.
it to the kid to make time for stomping swamp weeds. He's anxious to get back.
So, let's head out.
After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no. It ain't. Not by a long shot.
Of course it isn't.
Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The Calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here.
Figures,
alone.
it happens while the kid is out. Wait, fractured monument? What happened to it?
Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him.
So whatever was in that journal...
Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards.
The shards?
We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back.
Okay. Before I actually head out, we're going to go and upgrade the dueling pistols just once, I think is all we'll need. There we go. Bullet scatter eliminated.
Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm.
Might as well get the damage
He's made
too.
a right comfortable bed for all those bullets.
Alright. Now, let's see here. I actually think I want to head out to the Jossin Bog before I get anything done, but I do have my old weapons equipped, right? Yeah, I got them in the middle of the last level. Good. Good. Alright, we're going to head to Jossin Bog next, which is one of the strangest
After
levels.
Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jossin Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad.
So the damaged Bastion is now the driving
But
force
the
of the
shards
plot.
can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine.
There we are, just grab the shard
Shame
and...
the only place to fill that prescription is out here in
Oh,
the
dear.
wilds. This place is intoxicating.
Mushroom Samba time.
Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is. It's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go.
Stink eyes start spawning out of nowhere. Are they stink eyes? I think that's actually their name. Start spawning out of nowhere when you're in this fight. They're like boos. If you face them, they close their eyes. When they close their eyes, they're just about invulnerable. But if you just face away and then fire your musket in the right direction, it's fairly easy to take them out.
The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good.
All lines we've heard before, but taking on slightly more sinister meaning.
No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella.
And now, where Zulf was, we've got a bunch of gas fellas, squirts.
What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zulf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive?
It's the Bastion.
Sure enough,
but
he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators.
Now these enemies are all nice and friendly to you until you get a certain distance in. At that point, everything goes wrong. No chance to snipe any of these enemies. They're completely invulnerable while they're friendly. It's actually fairly clever. Luckily, you can use the monument itself to keep the lunkheads off. Just be sure to dodge them when they fall down from their last jump and explode.
Now the Bastion can send him even farther.
And instead of the kid, the Skyway flies
Kid
off.
sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous water.
Oh, here's a familiar sight. Whoa, there's an unfamiliar sight
Security's
though.
just gonna have to straighten him out.
Massive squirt spawner. And a bunch of security. Be sure to take them all out as soon as possible. The more security you have against you, the more difficult dodging is going to be. But if you have your bow recharge time,
Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi the bartender?
the end qualification for that part of the level.
Story is supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky.
We've been heading
He
backwards
wakes up. I'm just
through our
fooling.
adventure the whole time.
He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend.
The final boss of this particular area,
His friend, he's come undone
copy
too.
of the kid.
He sees what's left undone.
And here, you're just doing a basic day. Get your ore, pack your ore, take your wood, start your fire, go to sleep. The last thing the kid saw before the calamity. And whatever happened there is back.
Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to.
Whatever the gas was in Jocelyn Bog, the kid was better.
The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Disgusting things.
I don't know what they're called, but they'll trap you in place if you're within range of their scream, so try to stay away from that.
Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say.
If a lung blossom starts to fire the massive little shots like it was just doing, defend until it's gone. Countering won't actually hit the enemy, but it just makes sure that you don't get hit by a stray shot. As you deal more damage to the enemy, it'll summon more things to try to help it. If you're sitting outside of the arena, it's not going to be particularly difficult to stay away from everything.
They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind.
Make you lose your mind, huh? Sounds
Well,
familiar.
it prunes it down to size somehow.
Standing at a range and firing at it is one of the most effective methods of taking out lung blossoms. The fact that they're so large as well as completely immobile means that it is fairly easy to do so. But it's still going to be a challenge if you're invoking some of the idols.
Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers.
Alright, so we put the shard in the monument.
That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business.
And you can upgrade
A single shard can breathe new life into this place.
any of the places.
The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places.
I'm going to upgrade the memorial first. The ability to get more unlockable shard rewards is quite nice, and the fact that you have to unlock these before you're able to fulfill the criteria for the weapon ones is actually fairly important.
The memorial may be finished, but our part is far
As you
from
can
over.
see, we now have a little bit of a view of the weapons that we're going to be getting in the near future. And we're actually going to be completing one of those fairly soon. And we get a new thing at the distillery. I'm going to be picking up the lunkhead liqueur.
A sip of lunkhead liqueur will toughen you up. Too bad it's like drinking a saddlebag. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan.
So we're going to head to the slinger range now that we have everything all taken care of, but there is something we're going to have to keep in mind.
You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none thought faster than the slingers.
There is a trick.
They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine.
If you're on a controller, this is actually manageable. Most people over years of playing games will get the ability to mash a button just fast enough that they'll be able to fire, and with the lock-on function this is actually fairly possible. With the computer it's a bit harder. Clicking the mouse at that speed is a bit more difficult. So one of the easiest ways to get through here is to switch your attack to just scrolling down on your mouse wheel. I'll switch it back afterwards. I'll admit it's a bit of a cheap tactic, but I haven't found another way to
I
reliably
knew just
clear
when to
this.
start shooting and when to stop.
Wait until an enemy appears, lock on, and then just scroll down on your mouse wheel. Makes it a fairly easy task to complete. You have to get over a certain amount of score, and your score
Pistols could spit out rounds just as quick as you could pull the
and your
trigger.
score declines while the enemy is on the screen. So the faster you can kill them, the faster you'll be able to get points, and the better you'll be able to do in the challenge.
Learning to hold your fire could be its own challenge.
Just wait for an enemy to appear, keep holding shift, and fire. There we are. Up to 686 points already. I think we've reached rank 1.
I gotta say, kid's the fastest shot I ever
Good.
seen.
We did. We got first prize, and I think we even got, yep, the Dynasty. The award for completing Proving Grounds with rank 1, if I'm not mistaken.
He blew through slinger range like it was nothing.
So let's switch our controls back here. We don't want to be keeping that on. But yeah, it's a fairly easy trick to get through there if you find yourself having trouble with it.
The Dynasty, to the families of the city. all reunited.
Complete 7 proving grounds and you'll get 5,000 more shards. It's definitely enough to help you out. But as you can see, we still have a bit of upgrade material we're unable to use here. Oh well. For later, perhaps.
Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothes Lagoon.
I don't think past tense is what we want to be
Many
using
a tale
here.
folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down.
Oops,
Still
evidently I don't know up from down either, considering I just fell off that edge so easily.
These beasts, they don't like company.
Now, I could... Oh, come on. I'm better than that. I thought. Oh well. With the Bastion bourbon, your health potions do heal you fully. I'm actually going to pass up the decoy skill. I want to keep my breaker's bow.
Even the brushers learned to fear this place.
Just keep an eye out for all the enemies around the sides here.
They used to think that ankle gators were extinct.
Oh dear.
Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course.
The Queen Ant seems to take priority. A giant angry...
Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed.
Alright, so the gimmick for this level is you want to stay out of the grass as much as possible. The grass will trigger the ankle gator to come and try to attack you. So, the more you stay away from her, the better.
The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here.
The brush's pike
Now the kid can do the same.
isn't actually a terrible weapon. It's not amazing, it's not bad. It does pretty solid damage, does it at a moderate rate, and has a pretty good range on it.
Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit.
Be sure to go up here and find something
Most
nasty
of those
before you
beggars are
leave.
smart enough to stay out of Queen Anne's way.
Remember, if you're ever having trouble with these enemies, counters can be a fairly effective
Kid's
means.
got a mean throwing arm.
Oh, I accidentally completed the brushes challenge. That one is, you want to
Those pink
poke an enemy
cushions
and then
been
throw it
living
off with
the
a,
ankle gator
finish it off with a
scraps.
throw. Because you can throw the brushes pike. And like all weapons you can throw, it does have a power shot, though I've never really mastered it.
Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths.
Now, stinkweed breath can be annoying if only because you either have to take damage, not waiting for it to go away, or just wait for it to dissipate.
Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch.
That's really not going to happen to us.
Still no
though.
sign of the shard.
I'll even keep the brushes pike instead of the musket for this round.
The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run
Wait
for it.
here for a brief moment before you enter that grass.
They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. They make a tasty snack.
There we go.
That old gator's right on his tail.
Just be sure to dodge the ankle gator and you should be fine. Because it does take a moment to come up after you fire. Or after you walk into the grass. It takes a moment to fire after you enter the grass. So just keep moving. Don't stand still in the tall grass.
Queenie
and you
must
should
have
be
scared
fine.
a bunch of peckers out of hiding.
The one disadvantage here is I don't have my musket anymore, so taking out enemies at range like those peckers is going to be a bit of trouble. Come on. Even the auto lock-on doesn't do too much for me since the bow isn't fast enough to catch them mid-flight. pick up something pointy from underneath this stinkweed at the top right before you head out. Maybe I'll have better luck throwing the pike. Oh, what do you know? That worked. And just remember, if Queen Anne is trying to hit an enemy or three, she can't hit you. So, you have a bit of leeway in between the ankle gator attacks. Be sure to go down here and grab the egg.
Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait.
Alright, boss fight time.
The shard's sitting in plain view.
Pick up the shard.
Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go.
And as you heard earlier, you can only hurt an ankle gator when it's raining. So now, you can fight Queen Anne.
They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep
Not
running.
just that, you want to roll across the ankle gator. Walk and then roll across it. It will get you out of range, into range for a brusher's pike attack. But be careful, once you start to get more damage on them, they'll start moving faster. If you don't dodge right, if you don't dodge first, you probably will take a hit. And taking hits isn't a terrible thing. If you've got Bastion Bourbon, you got 5 health potions on you. Assuming you haven't used too many of them by now. Oh, apparently I got the Breaker's Bow
And
challenge.
now he's made her mad.
What was the Breaker's Bow challenge? How did I not have it by now?
Rest in peace, Queen Anne.
There we go.
That was for the brushers.
Lots of EXP from taking out Queen Anne. And then we'll just take out this final pecker here. Grab a little bit of health and the experience from having full black tonics. And we can head back to the Bastion.
Kid's done what needed to be
Shard
done.
in hand.
Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel.
Good.
They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't.
Well, an egg at least. Hasn't really hatched yet.
That gator's a crazy gal.
Oh,
But so is the gal who promised to look after her.
fair enough. So now we've got an ankle gator with us. We've got a squirt, we've got a bull, we've got an ankle gator. We're getting our own little posse here.
All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it.
Now, to upgrade the forge next.
Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city.
Now, with the upgraded forge, you can upgrade weapons up to level 5. So I'm going to get another
Arrows like that can practically find their own
upgrade
way.
for my bow. 50% more damage. We're now sitting at 100% extra bonus damage on the bow. Oh, 3 foes with a single well-timed power shot.
The breakers. Ain't no one could outrun them. Or their arrows. The brushers. They moved in shadows. But the calamity found them.
There you go. Do I have enough cash to upgrade the pike? Oh, more than enough. So I'm going to get throw
To fix a
reload
brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark.
and the knockback.
Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time.
There we go.
The next shard should be farther out there in the wild.
Because Camp Dauncey, the brusher proving ground, requires you to recharge your throws a little bit quicker than your base amount.
To prepare for the wilds, Ceylonia's brushers practice at Camp Dauncey.
It is
Had to
absolutely
navigate a maze
filled
of
with pincushions.
with nothing but a pike.
So the thing about this level is you have to get through these enemies as quickly as possible while living.
It's a dangerous
And
test for a
Hit
dangerous
some
job.
switches as well. If you land power shots though,
Health
they'll take
tonics
out...
are off limits at Camp Dauncey. They said they made you weak.
And that's the other thing, you can't use health tonics for this level. The more enemies that you take out with a single toss, the better off you'll be.
Sometimes the course was
And you can get back up, so no worries there. You also can't use your dodge roll, so no trying to dodge through these enemies quicker than you might do otherwise. Chances are your screen's going to be yellow or red by the time you get out of this stage. I want to say that 2 minutes is the limit for Camp Dauncey.
The rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pike.
There we go. 1 switch remaining. Oh, geez. It isn't a minute, is it? It is, I'll bet.
You did alright at Camp Dauncey. You got to go to the wilds.
Under 60 seconds, I'll be damned. Alright, I'm going to go upgrade my pike one more time, see if that will help me any. And I'll see you guys when I complete this challenge. Oh, thank goodness.
Camp Dauncey could get you promoted to captain on the spot.
I hate that stage, I really do. The inability to roll just throws me off so much. I love rolling in this game.
The wilds ain't so scary now.
No, they're still plenty scary, but... Alright, so we've got another skill from Camp Dauncey then. So, let's head off to the next stage, Point Lemaine.
Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words.
Illegal slavery.
Point
Oh,
Lemaine.
right. Okay, never mind. Well, I mean, a little
If the
bit of A, a
wilds
little
could
bit of
ever
B.
be tamed,
Caelondia was not the
it's gonna
greatest place in the
happen
world
right
after all.
But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. The army's triggers once
Oh,
had the
goodness.
place on lockdown.
I forgot that I got this here. The Army Carbine, my favorite weapon in the
You
game.
might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check.
The sniper rifle of the game. The Army Carbine is ludicrously powerful, but at the expense of
Point Lemaine
fairly
seen better
low
days for
charge
sure,
time.
but
Or
it
fairly
ain't done.
low fire speed, high charge time. Luckily, our musket can more than make up for that. You can pick up a little bit of extra health out here if you absolutely need to.
Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works.
It just doesn't have any trains on it.
Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as it can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks.
One of the greatest things about the Army Carbine is that it's like the bow, in that it's powerful in that manner, but it doesn't have the travel time that the arrows have. The Army Carbine is an instant shot, so if you can get a quick
Grand
charge
rails
on
all
it...
grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf.
But if you can get those charge shots off, the Carbine is incredibly
Kid don't let
powerful.
so much as one of those things slip by.
And be sure to just charge up a shot when you're not really doing anything. It helps you out a bit. Especially if you need to clear a pesky item from the middle of the road. Oh, a little bit of health up here. Whoa!
Lunkheads settled in like they own the place.
Not okay.
Lunkheads ain't known for their grace.
Just shoot a lunkhead off the edge with a musket if one ever gets too close to it. They still suffer knockback even if they don't take damage, so it can still be fairly helpful for you.
Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers, coughing fungus everywhere.
If you head down here, you do have an extra health tonic. Good for if you're running low on them. I completely forgot that enemy was there. Walked straight into him. So much for that health tonic, I guess. Just be sure to keep an eye on those peckos. Like I said though, lunkheads, if they get too close to the edge, send them packing.
Place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. course, the Grand Rails see much more fighting in bygone times.
I think I am going to equip my Breaker's Bow until the end of the level, though. The musket is amazing, but it needs some upgrades before it gets usable.
Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Selandian War.
Let's see
It
here.
was right here that Zulf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up.
Oh, good. We're at the site of a war starting, folks. Or where a war started, anyway. Past tense and all that.
Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad.
Yeah, that's bad, generally.
The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weeds.
Just shoot the swamp weeds before you reach them and you should be alright. They can be a bit of a pain, though, combined with these peckers if you don't take precautions when you're heading down the rail.
Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye?
Yes. Yes, we have.
Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun.
So the person that Rux is talking... Oh, something fancy. Good. Upgrade material for the carbine. We can use that. Whoa, suddenly a stinkweed. Hello. We're just gonna walk straight through that. We'll take a little bit of damage, but it's better than trying to stick near the end of the road.
Then at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you.
What do we have waiting
At
for
first
us?
he thinks it's Zulf. Turns out
Oh, it's
he's
an Ura.
wrong. This is for you, says
gift?
the man. Then wham.
Oh, unconsciousness. Why, thank you. I've always wanted that.
When the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there.
A letter.
The only words the kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's the kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it?
I'll take your word on it, okay. Oh, stockpot.
Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take it we
Our
can
second trip to who knows where is in the near future.
get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely.
Well, he
Zulf.
doesn't mess around with words, as it were. That's pretty cool of him, at least.
Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived. And what exactly Zulf told him.
Things would probably be better for the kid if Rux actually bothered to tell him what is going on half the time. Now, what skill do we want? I'm thinking Mirror Shield.
No more fooling around. Time to roll out the big guns and get this over with.
There aren't any, fancy things here, are they? No, nothing fancy. Alright. Well, let's stick this shard back in the monument then.
It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place.
And I think next I'm gonna upgrade the Lost and Found. Gets me a couple of new items.
We need an awful big lost and found.
Oh,
under the
something fancy.
circumstances.
Good. Oh, and some new things. 15% damage resistance, I'll buy that, that'll be helpful later. Leech Aid, gain health by striking foes, costs 1,000, well worth it. Mendermean gained some health by counter-blocking. Might as well pick that up if I ever get that far. And I think that's all I want from the Lost and Found. Oh, but I got a new memorial, too. I wonder what it was. Spend 10,000 fragments to get 2,500 back.
The city, its riches, nothing but fragments
Cool,
now.
I can deal with that. It's pretty awesome, actually. And let's upgrade that carbine now. First off, let's get ourselves speed while aiming. It's no good to have your carbine charged up if you can't move.
That's the way to make every shot count.
I'm gonna take aiming speed for our first upgrade there.
Even the army never issued carbines in such fine shape.
And then some reload chance.
It's no longer a weapon, it's a precision instrument.
Oh, and I get another memento? Oh, use the forge to
The
upgrade to the
inspiration,
third level.
a forge can fashion.
And there's another 2,000. Cool, I'm actually making money off
Shards are
this.
getting harder to find.
Now, off to Trigger Hill for our 4th carbine upgrade. After all, level 3 prize for these things is always...
Ceylonia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill.
There we go.
The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles.
Now, what is the goal here? Destroy targets
Nothing
quickly.
beats the feel of shooting a Ceylonian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers
I got
had clearance
triggers
to
now,
modify
too.
their guns
Cool.
however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit.
Now, one of the things about this course is the fact that
Kid blows through that course like it was nothing.
you have to kind of manage how precise you make your shots, because as you'll notice with the carbine, it does have a range. For these ones here, they're expecting you to fire it about there when it's guaranteed that you'll hit an explosive and take everything out. But you can really do whatever you want with this sort of thing. For the faraway ones, don't get a power shot. Power shots are fairly accurate, but they do still have that spread on them that can let you miss, like the one I got there. But if you have weapon recharge time, it's still fairly easy to get through things without too many
The
problems.
Ceylonian army would have recruited him in a flash.
So first we're going to go grab the Trigger Memorial.
The Triggers, my brothers, bravest men.
And then we're going to go spend both the upgrade materials we just got, because we got something coarse and something fancy. So I'm going to get the extra damage on the second one.
Nothing makes a gun so dangerous as a keen
Now here's the
eye.
thing. You can get plus 35% damage twice, or plus 50% aiming speed twice. Followed by, or you can do what I do, which is I like to strike a balance. Get extra damage and extra aiming speed. But whatever you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and get the reinforced
Now we're
chamber.
looking at some serious firepower.
Got extra damage on this, focusing on a lot more DPS musket than a knockback musket like that might be. So, as you can see, we've got plus 30% damage now, since they do stack. So, we're going to actually invoke a shrine idol here.
Behold the Pantheon.
We're going to grab Pith, so they move and attack faster. And then we're going to go to who knows
Kid
where.
arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking.
Oh, well, what in the heck? Oh, there we go.
He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head.
One thing that Who Knows Where has in common between the 3 visits is they all involve the kid getting knocked out.
I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this.
And each one I mentioned tells a backstory. The first one was the kid's. This one is Zia's.
What's he thinking? Let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once.
In Zia's Who Knows Where, you'll fight enemies from the wilds. It's actually one of my least favorite.
Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylandia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals.
As with the kids one, I'm not going to be saying much here, folks. I'll just meet you back at the Bastion.
Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets.
Actually, hold on. I'm gonna break that for 1 second to say that really sucks. I'm really starting to doubt all of Rux's tales about Caelondia being a
The
wonderful
mama
place.
passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. Now, where were we? It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. defeated, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using it to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free. Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in. She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand. The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her.
So if there's nothing else we can take from that, it is that whoever that guy was
When the kid wakes
a
up,
massive
his
dick.
world's still in pieces, just the way he left it.
I mean, wow, seriously, that's something special. Anyway, we're gonna head off to the next stage now. I don't think we have another proving ground, do we? Because we just got the carbine. Good, let's just head for Culford Cauldron. Cauldron? Cannot speak, evidently. Well, the side effects of long recording times, I guess.
Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Culford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago.
I didn't think I was
They
in
say it
range
filled
there.
the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock.
So it was a volcano then.
If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too.
I mean, they lived through the calamity, didn't they? I thought that would qualify them for being survivors. Yeah, well, whatever.
It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this.
Says the guy
As
currently.
for us, we learned an awful lot from Culford Cauldron.
God, I hate this level. This is my least
That
favorite weapon.
learning led to some
Period.
interesting inventions.
Some people are saying, oh, okay, no, I
The raw
like...
power of the world fell right into
I
our
like the fire
hands.
bellows. It does lots of damage at close range, and it pierces armor, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's also, you know, terrible. It does no damage. You practically have to get into melee range to use it in the first place. It's just bad.
Sure, we dusted off a good many
Did I
secrets
pass
out
up something
here.
on the right there, then? Oh, I did. Something heavy. Upgrade material for the... See what I mean? Can't even reach over there. Come on. Got it. Right. No need to pop a health potion yet. Save those for now. I will give it this, it takes care of peckers fairly
We
easily
discovered other
on
things
this game
better off
mode.
not knowing.
Oh, that's not... Okay, no, get me out of here. currently trapped in stinkweed territory with that stupid enemy just continuing to grab me. I mean, look at that. It takes a full charge.
The unforgiving scent of sulfurous
and
dirt.
Still can't kill a stinkweed. But on higher difficulties, it doesn't do anything at all. Yes, it can deal damage to stink eyes even if they're armored.
The air so hot it sticks to your lungs.
But you can just turn around. That's all you need to do to take care of these enemies. Just turn your back to them, turn around with a musket. Problem solved. But I guess for the people for whom that is a bit too difficult, you do have the fire bellows.
All sorts of awful things crawling
Ooh,
underfoot.
we're getting pretty low on health here. Might as well pop a health pot there. 3 left. We're fine. Culford Cauldron. You keep doing that. Culford Cauldron is not exactly generous with the health potions. Luckily, we do make our way to an arsenal here, complete with something
we kept
pointy.
on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway.
Oh, not what I wanted to do. Scrap musket and carbine. There we go. I'm also going to pick up Trigger Blitz. Deals a lot of damage to a single enemy and applies a bleed effect if I'm not mistaken. Which is quite solid for taking out enemies.
The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place as inhospitable as they come.
See what I mean? Carbine is just as effective as the... what's it called? The fire bellows.
We pressed on.
For taking out enemies here, but... or not the carbine, the musket. But the musket is considerably more powerful.
After all, when we look down inside...
and has way more range.
Look down through all the smoke and flames.
Who knows, maybe I'm using it wrong.
We saw in there the heart of the world. The heart now laid bare by the calamity.
That is a lot of stinkweeds.
As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke
Stink
up every
eyes.
last stink eye from
Okay, I
the
was
Charleston
right on
bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the
Originally, yeah, that's exactly what I thought, but the game realizes that would be a
it ain't the
pain.
most convenient path.
But there is a shortcut. We are going to take out this enemy before we leave, though.
Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare.
If you charge up your shot, you can actually turn around and fire using shift or just by moving your mouse really quickly. You'll keep the charge and there's no turn time, so it's
Where
fairly
there's
easy.
one stink eye, there's always more.
I don't think there are any hidden items here. I might be wrong.
The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell.
Another stink eye that size. Not the most handy thing to have to fight, but not terribly difficult.
With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city, but all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it.
And we're back.
It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney.
I'd imagine coming from a volcano would do that to someone.
The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again.
Alright, so we have 3 places left to upgrade. The shrine, which I'll leave for last. I'm going to upgrade the arsenal here. Oh no, wait, the trapper snare. That's just 1 skill that it gives you. Might as well grab a
Just
couple
the
extra
occasion to
spirits.
crack open the distillery's private reserve.
Falling malt, reduce damage from falling, plus 200% damage by falling on foes. Black rye, black tonic capacity, life wine, survive an attack that would have brought defeat. I'm actually going to trade out my Cinderbrick Stout for Leechade. Leechade gives minus 66% health tonic potency, but Bastion Bourbon makes it so they fully restore health. So you get an upgraded health tonic that is then downgraded slightly, but it still restores a third of your health, which means it's good for burst healing.
Leechade's so sour, it'll perk you right up when you're feeling low.
And you don't really have to worry about your health in the meantime, because you'll be doing enough damage with the carbine that you won't have to even bother with that. There's a pecker nest here that I apparently missed, so I'll restore that. The culture. Discover the lost mementos.
The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes.
And the faith we got last time for surviving a trip to who knows where.
The faith. Mother, this one's for you. Sometimes I want to ask him, why do any of this? But truth is, I don't want to know. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome
Bastion's
sight.
now fully stocked with friends. We got a pecker, we've got a Squirt, couldn't remember his name, an Ankle Gator, and of course the Pit statue.
They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us.
Yeah, who
now.
knew? You only had to be nice to it instead of trying to kill everything there. I mean, well, we did that too, but still. I am going to upgrade the Fire Bellows, though. I'm going to need it to get through its challenge stage. Flames spread wider.
At least it won't get cold around here with that thing around.
Flames cause lasting burn or extra damage per flame. Extra damage, I think.
On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin.
I'm also going to grab the last something foul. Just so I can upgrade it once more. Flames cripple or plus 20% fuel generation.
Without an insulated air intake, that thing's liable to blow up on you.
Well, that's just great. It's also explosive.
We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan.
Alright, so we're going to head to the incinerator here, where the goal is going to be killing as many peckers as we can
Welcome
in a short amount of time.
Incinerator, home of the hottest wings east of Ceylondia.
Hottest wings.
In all seriousness, the incinerator was a dump, and it had a problem with peckers.
Well, we can take care of that, I think. Fry peckers before
Blast the
time
things would
expires.
swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint.
What do you mean we had to use restraint? Just kill them all at once. Come on. Attack me. I need to take you out.
The peckers were willing to fight tooth and nail for all that trash.
Wow. I did really badly. Oh well, maybe another upgrade will help me out. I'll see you all in a minute when I complete this level.
Wasn't any other way to teach those peckers some respect.
Got it on the next try. So we get Ring of Fire, and it took... I think I took the...
Who
what
knows
was it?
why we fought so hard to defend our own trash?
What skills did I take to complete that stage? It's actually a good question. So for future reference, I had fuel generation, lasting burn, crippled foes, and attack speed. It actually worked out fairly well overall. But I'm never going to use the bellows again, so... So off to Mount Zand next, where we're going to find another shard.
Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore.
Floating mountain.
There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go.
Alright, this is a bit of an interesting beginning to a stage. You're stuck with a bunch of these
So they figure
leaping
they'll
enemies.
hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot.
Oh. If you'll notice, whenever we hit an enemy now, our Leechade is giving us a little bit of health back. Only if we deal damage, though, and proportional to how much damage we actually deal.
Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers.
Oh, come on. Another one? Oh well. If you take the enemies out fast enough, you should be alright. I just heard one of those screaming enemies. Up there? Yeah. Oh, lots of health down
Those
here.
beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find.
So, animals have been collecting things too. Oh no.
We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard.
Well, I mean, we did take everything else. Oh, I didn't mean to fire him off the edge there. Didn't even realize there was one. Goodness.
The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their
Really?
own.
Tell me more. I'm sure you will. Anyway,
But they ain't yet prepared for any company. They even dragged their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks.
you get it, because it's a stinkweed. Yeah. There we go. Baby ankle gators are easy picking on their own. Just use the same strategy that you did on the adult, which is to roll over them when they're getting ready to attack. You should be able to take them out without too many issues. Meanwhile, stationary enemies make for great picking when it comes to building up your health with Leech Aid. Plus, we'll be able to equip something else when we get there next. And we get to unlock the Vigil for reaching level 5 when we get home too.
Beasts right now is put them down quick and clean.
Well, what better to do that than a mortar?
Besides, we have to take back what's ours.
The mortar's actually pretty fun.
Even if the beasts of the wilds won't like it.
The only thing I don't get about the mortar is why does it have
What
a
the city
power
left
shot?
behind, those beasts took for themselves.
I mean, it's a ranged attack, so it has a power shot. I can get that, but it kind of limits where you're able to fire with it to be able to get optimal damage.
Takes a lot of convincing, and our mortars have to do the talking.
Still, I think the mortar is a lot of fun, so it's actually one of the best weapons in the game, in my opinion.
Look at it this way. It's either them or us.
That's not some very
But if we
convincing
win,
talk, Rux.
they win too. Our bastion is everybody's game. Not just ours.
Well, if he clarifies what he means, perhaps we would be able to agree with him a bit more readily.
Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast.
Hey, that's not what the text at the bottom of the screen said at all. Well, it is, but not entirely.
Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like
The mortar does have a really long range for all that splash damage that it boasts, so it's actually a fairly handy weapon to keep around. One of its main disadvantages, though, is its long aiming time. Luckily, it deals the same amount of damage at just about any range, so it's fairly helpful that way.
They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have.
And it makes this level a lot easier, being able to take out enemies with this mortar. Especially considering how many spiked plants we got sitting
Maybe
around.
they've thought about turning back, just like we have.
There we go. And we find the shard.
We just really need
Oh,
their
shoot.
shard.
And the edge of the world, apparently.
Kid got it fair and square.
Now, you can actually come into this area beforehand, which would allow you to take out some of the enemies that spawn before you're meant to. But that can get a little bit odd at times in terms of how it works. Because about half the enemies are just progressively spawned over the course of this fight, and the other half are here whenever you walk into a certain location, like the spiked plants at the edge of the area. This whole fight is just, interesting, though. The mortars actually...
You don't need to keep tangling with all those things.
Don't have to. Can. It gets me lots of EXP, too. So yeah, as Rex is saying, you don't have to take out these enemies. But it certainly doesn't hurt. Especially because they give about
That's the way.
1350 EXP when you take both of them out.
He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Now, with the mortar, I think we can actually get a couple of cool upgrades
We'll all
for
be
that.
better off once the Bastion is complete.
Now let's see here. What upgrades can we get for the mortar? Oh, we only have one upgrade?
That mortar's gonna leave a lasting
Well,
impression.
first off, we're going to want to get blast radius. Oh,
Suppose it's true a little
Music.
song can put things in perspective.
there's now music in the Bastion. Excellent.
Fix that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier.
The gramophone is basically the sound room for this game. Using it, you can get access to a lot of songs and just have them play around the Bastion.
The cinders kept the city good and warm, made it thrive. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that.
We're just absolutely rolling in dough right now. It's incredible. Now, what else do we want to equip? I'm thinking I'm going to equip the Bull Brandy. Damage resistance is always
Brandy
pretty
is
excellent.
thicker than paint. Makes your skin feel as tough as knife bark. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it.
We're
though.
almost completely recharged with our number of shards. Good. Let's get the Trapper's Snare skill then. Oh wait.
That's some heavy-duty hardware. Not exactly the most delicate pairing.
Oh, there we go.
The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection.
The Trapper Snare. A snare kit that instantly immobilizes foes in the user's vicinity. So it stops enemies, if you need to use it. Personally, I like carrying around the Mirror Shield and the Carbine, along with the Scrap Musket, as my endgame items, but it's all up to preference. Did I miss anything in the Lost and Found? We've got another something burnt, so I think I'm going to pick that up real quick. Heck, might as well pick up most of the upgrade materials here. No downside to it. Greasy, pointy, wrong. And of course, if you're ever feeling like a bit more of a challenge, you have a couple of idols to use whenever you want to, so long as you get them back from the Lost and Found. Now, what else do we have here? Critical hit or aiming speed? I'm thinking
Thought of
aiming
an old
speed.
trick from a galleon gunner I once knew.
Gotta get the ignore armor for the sail hammer.
He put some finishing touches on the business end of that thing.
And we have just 5 upgrade
Just a couple
materials sitting
shards
around.
left. The quarry's gotta have one,
The
right?
quarry. Well, that sounds like it'd be a place to hold rocks, and cores and shards seem to be rocks, so yeah.
Ceylondia's armada was a glorious sight, and our ship's mortars were unstoppable.
Oh, so there was an ocean.
At Boundless Bay, our Navy put those mortars through a rigorous inspection.
Now, this is actually a bit of an interesting stage.
Had to use squirts to simulate explosive impact on the surface of the sea.
Alright, so what you want to do is you want to keep an eye on the squirts moving from side to side and try to plan a shot so it hits both groups at once.
Choosing targets with those mortars was one of the trickiest parts.
I think I should be able to get this time around. Just so long as I hit that group in the back there.
You could almost see the fireworks over Boundless Bay.
And that gets me all the prizes. Just a quick upgrade to its ability to hit multiple enemies and you're in business.
Good thing we got to that mortar before the beasts of the wild learned how to use it.
A squirt with a mortar would definitely be an interesting sight, alright. Now, what could we upgrade it with? Damage or blast radius? Whew, that's something dangerous. But if we get the last upgrade for the hammer, 75% damage.
Now the weight of the world behind us every swing.
That thing is now deadly as hell. And considering we're going to the quarry, I think I'll bring it along.
A hammer and an army carbine. When I was a fighting man, I used the very same.
Good to hear, Rux. Good to hear. Alright, off to the quarry. Stink eyes are highly resistant to damage when their eyes are shut, but our hammer now pierces armor.
Imagine
so we don't
everything
even
you
need to worry about that.
build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity.
Possibly.
Same goes for its natives, Rattletails.
It's a lot of
Rattletails
damage.
ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags.
Oh, and they seem friendly too.
Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nested in those rocks.
Really. And now for a lesson in windbag reproduction, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even kidding. Wait.
The quarry ain't exactly up to safety standards.
Oh, come on, I
anymore,
could hardly see
but
that
there's
hole.
even more to it than that. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things.
Remember things. What in the world is going on with this minimizing? Terribly sorry about all that,
Recording
folks.
everything, all the time, taking it all in.
Now, I don't think I can get to him before I unlock him from that
No
cage
wonder
there.
all those beasts were drawn to the quarry.
Might as well. Oh!
The rocks were calling them.
Oops. Wow, we deal a lot of damage with that hit. I never quite realized how
Keeping the
powerful
quarry
the hammer
free from
was when you
pests
fully
turned out
upgraded
to be
it.
a problem.
Those plants
Rattletails
shutting
kept tunneling in to snack on windbags.
doesn't matter now, considering that the fact that we pierced
Even
the armor of
stink
the
eyes
plants.
started taking root in here.
There we go. And the hammer's healing us up as we attack
Now, why
from
would
our
the Ura
leechade.
sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news.
Could be.
In
Not
any
entirely
case,
sure.
It's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks,
Well, there you
all
go.
polished to a mirror sheen.
Oh, geez, I need to flip the switch again. Hold on a second. And the music stopped.
The largest
There we go.
ones, you know as cores.
Oh, so the cores are actually powered by the souls
Single
of
core
forsaken
could keep the
windbag
lights
children.
on in an entire city district.
There you go.
The smaller ones, we call them shards. A shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland.
I gotta flip the switch again.
Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use.
Oh no, wait, I need to flip it and go upwards, I think? This way?
Remember how I said
Yeah, that seems
Rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive
Sir
thing
Lunky is a
stomped
heck of
many
a
of our boys.
foe.
We just
But
couldn't get rid of him. We never could get stubborn
we
old
couldn't
Lunky
get
to
rid of
leave
him.
the quarry alone.
Until the kid
Then
rolled
the
around.
kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. Are you alright? It says.
Alright, so quick note on the strategy for that fight, and the reason I brought the hammer along. There are a couple of items that can pierce armor with their attacks in this game, the hammer being one of them, and one of the easiest to upgrade by this point. And if you have Leech Aid, you can take health away from the boss while you're giving it to yourself, and you're piercing the armor on his skull, because if you attack them from the front, normally you're not dealing damage because they have that armor, but with the upgraded hammer, you don't have to worry about that.
I've come to warn you, he says. The Bastion is under siege.
Oh, that's not a good thing.
You should not go back.
And where, then, does he suggest we go?
But he ain't about to be deterred.
Nope.
If that's the way it is,
so we'll grab the shard and head out.
Then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will.
Countrymen plural. Good, so it wasn't just the one guy. How many of them survived, anyway?
Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word.
Wow, Bastion looks like shit.
His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that.
Oh, new type of enemy defeated, so we managed to get the Mercy.
And here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told them sooner about all this.
Probably, yeah. Generally not a good idea to keep secrets after the apocalypse from the one person you know.
They broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop.
Oh wow, our teammates are kicking the ass of the Ura. Even the little squirt's doing his job. Where are the rest of the enemies? Oh, there he is. Wait, were they honestly, like, gone? Did we miss them? Did we defeat the other ones too quickly? My teammates are doing work, man.
You don't make it.
What?
Somehow,
wait, what? Seriously?
Some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked.
Oh, the pecker died. I was hoping to keep them all alive.
We find each other as the dust settles.
Alright, storyline time.
Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started.
Oh, there you go.
Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends.
Okay, this is the one I'm talking about, Garmouth. If you're doing a full shrine run, you activate every single idol. First off, you're going to have a bad time. Second off, Garmouth is going to be a pain. Enemy attacks will just deflect with no warning whatsoever. It's just going to be like, oh, you wanted to hit this enemy? No, that shot actually didn't connect, and it ricocheted off in a random direction. This can actually lead to some fairly interesting scenarios where a shot bounces off an enemy, and they do bounce. It bounces off an enemy, hits another, and kills the second enemy, but that's really uncommon, and generally Garmouth is just going to be a pain to keep around. And then Mysia, or Mykia, whatever it is, foes shall regenerate. That's actually not too bad until you start encountering foes with high enough HP that you're unable to take them out faster than they respawn. So, off to get the last shard now.
Swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way.
We have covered a lot of stages in the past couple of hours, haven't we? Whew. So off to the last shard now.
One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the Calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand is living proof of that.
The ranged enemies are actually fairly easy to counterattack. If you're going to be counterattacking them, just remember, counterattack the first shot and then defend against the next two.
Calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people.
What the hell? Where'd she go? She just ran off into the sky. What the hell was that? Anyway, we get the last something fancy in this level, so it's actually
a brilliant young scientist named Ven.
I don't think this is ever directly mentioned, so I'm just gonna say it now. Ven is Zia's father.
The sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone.
Well, that doesn't sound good at all. Also, that Ura was a jerk, waking us up.
They said, except as a last resort.
But obviously it wasn't a last resort, unless something happened that we don't know about. Something wrong.
But Ven
we don't
like
have that item yet.
He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. We're lucky to be alive.
Whoa.
Too bad the Ura
it's
ain't
mine.
exactly been willing to collaborate on that front.
Oh, massive jerk. Alright, now Rattletails can be a bit annoying because they are completely invincible while they're underground.
For now,
so you have to hit them while they're above.
Pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia.
Agreed. Let's go rescue Zia.
The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move. But
God, Bastion looks terrible. Alright, now with the last upgrade material for the musket, we're going to get two options. One, cripple foes. So you'll knock them away and then they won't be able to get back to you. Two, fire two shots at once.
Would have been downright jealous.
That's exactly as good as it sounds. It's amazing. And for something fancy, we can either get ignoring armor or explosive damage. We already have the carbine, or the musket for area damage.
For my days on the front.
So I'm gonna swap out our trusty hammer once more for the scrap musket. And then we're going to keep with the carbine for the rest of it. Oh yes, quite nice. Now what else here? Do we have anything else to get? Oh wow, we're pretty much broke. Time to visit the memorial.
The Masons. We built the city strong. Now there's only 2 of us.
The kid is... Oh yeah, kid's a Mason, that's why he's the
Mercy.
hammer.
The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. The skippers delivered us from the motherland. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild.
There we go. So we've actually got most of these memorials. We're not going to get some of them, but I am going to buy, well, yeah, essentially buy one really quickly here. We're going to get the sneaky decoy, something stringy, because I love my bow, and the turret surprise, I think. There we go. Now, the 2 extra secret skills will get us the service.
For all the men and women who serve Caelondia. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard.
We have to rescue Zia. Well, let's go do that. After Zulf found a secret weapon. Secret weapons are usually pretty
personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming.
Double shots.
He gets his
so
hands
powerful.
on the care package I sent him.
New and final weapon, the Calamity Cannon. Has to charge before it can fire at all. It deals massive damage on a large scale.
From spreading through Sultan's Hollow. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together.
Some notes about the Calamity Cannon. You cannot move while charging up your shot. The Calamity Cannon will deal damage to you, if I'm not mistaken. And you cannot fire it at all before it's charged. It has to be charged to be able to deal damage. If you don't charge it up, you'll be just SOL.
Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now.
I would be if the kid were coming my way. But the Calamity Cannon does deal some pretty nice AoE damage. That being said... Oh wait, why do I have Sneaky Decoy equipped? I don't want that. That being said, I am going to switch back to the carbine for now, simply because I'm way more used to it.
Kids done using
that trigger blitz
power for now, but the Ura ain't finished. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid.
Now, in terms of damage, we are extremely powerful, and we have to deal a lot of damage to be able to survive, considering Leech Aid is making our health reliant on how much damage we deal. Now, let's see, what else can I get here? Oh, on my very first playthrough, I actually missed this area right here. I thought this was just cosmetic, all these little calamity rocks down to the bottom left. But if you come down to this corner, you can actually see one of the... Oh, really? There's a hole there? There's actually one of the calamity conductors, or whatever you would call them, just sitting there, and if you fire on it, it'll lower the rocks and allow you to get that something
By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Most of the Ura's
lucky for me,
are squared away in the middle of the
Oh
hollow.
god. Screw these stink eye droppers. These things are terrible. They should feel terrible. They're awful, and I hate whoever designed them.
Those calamity rocks.
Because when you're playing on... When you're going for a full idle run, these things take so little damage and regenerate their health so quickly that you just almost can't do anything with it. You have to sit a screen and a half away with your carbine at top firing speed just firing at top speed. Why at top firing speed and not at
barricade.
max damage?
After all, their homeland's not much farther.
Because if you don't have top firing speed and you have max damage instead, if he deflects a shot with whatever the god's name was, I can't recall right now, it will just allow him to heal up the damage you dealt with the shot before that, so it's almost counterproductive.
Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening.
Plus, with the speed the enemies fire, you have to be able to charge up quickly.
Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid.
Well, a kid with more arsenal than most small countries,
They
but yeah, pretty much.
underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong.
Now, these laser turrets can be fairly damaging, but they give quite a bit of EXP, and
Yes,
if you
our
take them out
people
from a
caused the
distance, they're not that
Then
deadly.
Here we are trying to fix it. That makes us different from our people now, don't it?
Here we go. Oh, come on.
Suppose old Zol
Just fire on
shoulda
this
got
to lower
know
the
us
gate.
better. Maybe I should have
There we go, another enemy down.
Told him everything I knew.
Yeah, that's generally a good idea after the end, telling people what happened. I mean, granted, they might also try to kill you, so... maybe it isn't. Who knows?
Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry.
We've got another something burnt just sitting there. Oh, something wrong. Excuse me. Something wrong is the upgrade material for the Calamity Cannon, as it does use the
But when
power
this
of the
is all
Calamity.
over, it'll all
Only
be
fair it would
water
use the
under
same
bridge.
rocks.
As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns.
Dudes with crossbows? That's their big guns?
There's nothing
I
standing
have literal
in his way
big guns,
no
and they
more.
have crossbows. This doesn't seem fair.
He sees
And again,
the
they have
Tassel
numbers on them.
terminals loom large on the horizon.
Cool, so the terminals are nearby, we're
Way
getting
out there on the edge
close.
of the world. That's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for the
this
scale
level
to
is a
sing about
massive-
now.
If you're playing this level, just be sure to
Yeah.
take out the stink eye
You
spawners
weren't
quickly.
kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people.
So Zia's back now. That's alright.
You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true.
There we go. So we don't have the last shard still, but we got Zia back.
They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you?
It seems plausible.
I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember?
So, one of the things that starts becoming clear right about now is the fact that Rux has been narrating to
Country.
Zia this
She's
entire
all to
time.
pieces now, but still looking good.
So, whenever he's been telling a story about what happened, it's been to Zia. Now also something that is not announced now, but something that is notable, is the fact that the final Who Knows Where is open. So I'm actually going to upgrade the Calamity Cannon here.
First step to learning the
Hold on,
Calamity
map,
Cannon
please.
is knowing about the machinery
Charge up speed,
overrides. Good thing I didn't throw away the
Speed.
manual.
charge up speed, and we don't have enough for the last one. But I am going to take the Calamity Cannon with me for this final level, along with my trusty musket, so... Oh no wait, oh I should probably get a skill, shouldn't I? What to pick? I'm
Kid
thinking Mirror
loaded
Shield.
down with some of Ceylondia's finest firearms. Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack.
Cool, so the bed that we
It's
started
hard to
on at the
sleep
very
easy
beginning of the
these
game
days, what with everything that's happened.
is the final Who Knows Where. So, we've learned the kid's story.
Zolf.
We've learned Zia's.
Very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again. For the last time.
Time to finally learn what Zolf was up to. So as you can see, the Calamity Cannon has a way faster fire time now. It's actually fairly dangerous.
They met on the worst day of Zolf's
Kid's a
life.
deadly force.
There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away.
Once again, this is a who knows where, so I'm gonna be quiet for most of this. I'll meet you guys back at the Bastion.
It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tassel terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like it was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. When the missionary passed away, Zolf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylandia. Zolf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zolf felt he could only do so much in the Tassel terminals. He needed Ceylandia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land. The journey was hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zolf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zolf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. The Hanging Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zolf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Caelandian style. He celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. He woke up alone underground inside the Caelandian War Memorial, built like an Uraden. But something was wrong. He emerged from that hole in the ground into a waking nightmare. Everything that wasn't gone was twisted upside down. The world was frozen, air thick with ash. What few faces he saw on the street stared back at him with gray and vacant eyes. He found his wife-to-be asleep inside her home, but when he reached out to her, she joined with all the ashes in the sky. so Zolf returned to where he proposed in the Hanging Gardens. And there he stood, as if the gods would answer him. The kid's gonna be okay. As for that man, who knows?
That sucks. Oh god. I mean, really, that's really terrible. Let's see, what do we want here? Gain some health by counterblocking.
Folks say Mender mead's good for you. It's like an herb garden in full bloom.
That sounds
Once
right.
the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over.
That's right. Everything will be over. It'll be done. But first, upgrades and weapons and challenges.
The Ura probably didn't know they were being watched from Mancer Observatory.
Alright, so this one's actually
It was the perfect
a bit
spot
odd.
to test something no one's meant to know about.
The Calamity Cannon. Challenge stage.
Only trouble was, something about the place drove the windbags crazy.
You've just gotta fire fast enough and hard enough to make sure that no windbags get to the low places they have to
Everything
defend.
like that takes getting used to. Gotta point her in the right direction.
Think Space Invaders, but less so. Now, what you don't see is that there are actually quite a few windbags coming at me here. But
Whatever gets in
the
her
Calamity
way is in the
Cannon's
world
just
of
taking them out
but she
too
ain't the
quickly
fastest thing.
for them to be able to even make it on screen. Auto lock-on is your friend here. And auto fire may actually be your friend as well. If I fail this, I'll turn that back on. But you definitely want the reload speed. These windbags can be taken out by a single hit, so making sure that your shots come out quick enough to actually take them out is to your benefit. Oh, dang it, did I really just...
Best stand well clear of that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna turn on auto fire next time. If you start to let them through, they're really going to keep getting through is the problem. Oh well.
Not much left of the observatory.
Third
The
prize,
smoke
enough to
clears.
upgrade the Calamity Cannon once. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I've never upgraded the Calamity Cannon fully before, so I'm wondering what the last upgrade is.
If the power of the Calamity is safe in anybody's hands, it's safe in his.
Let's see. Rocks create damage fields, or rocks seek out foes.
Looks like a little
Hello.
science project is all set.
Okay. Homing rockets. We are not about to lose this ever again. Here's what we do. Go to the Proving Ground, Mancer Observatory, and I'm literally just going to keep firing into the distance. That's it. That's all I'm going to do.
The Mancers conducted their most secretive research far east of the city.
We're even going to keep this one in. It's probably only going to take, what, a minute, tops? I don't think I can fail it again, either. Oh, wow. This isn't overpowered at all.
You could cause a lot of collateral damage with it if you ain't careful.
Wait, I can fire in the completely wrong direction. It'll still fly towards the enemies. That's amazing. They do start spawning closer
The more
and
crowded it
closer.
gets, the more trouble you can cause with a single shot.
So you really want to take care to make sure that you don't miss a couple of windbags that slip by you like
She's
mine did
designed to
early.
be fine-tuned. Just need the proper parts.
Oh, I think she's been fine-tuned, Rux. Are you seeing this? This is ridiculous. I might just trade in the carbine for the homing shot rocket launcher. Oh my god. You know, for the last level, I think I'm gonna go with a combination I've never tried before. Calamity Cannon and Hammer. Get the armor
That
penetration.
experiment was a rousing success.
Oh, and do I get a skill for the cannon? Calamity rockets. That just sounds amazing. Okay,
If only the Mancers could have seen the kid playing around with their favorite toy.
let's do it. Let's try this out. By the way, what's the final upgrade for the bow? Stun or knockback?
Ain't that the finest breaker's bow you ever seen?
Might as well. Now let's go to the arsenal, swap out this for the sail hammer, and this for the calamity cannon, and we'll get the calamity rockets. A devastating technique that overcharges the reactor, generating a flurry of rockets.
The power of the calamity ain't well understood, but a hammer sure is.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, to the final level, the Tazel terminals. Let's go!
I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be alright.
Something I considered the other day, or something that was pointed out to me, rather.
Just needs to get that shard from Zolf and come on home.
Something that was pointed out to me was the fact that the man from Zia's Who Knows Where is pretty much the villain of the story. Because, give me a moment here, I'm going to stop playing for just a brief second to explain my logic here. Or the logic here. Zia fell in love with this guy, who was a random guy from Zealandia. He asked her to bring him home to her father. Her father was working for the Mansers at the time, working on the Calamity Cannon. The father gets so angry at the guy that he kicks her out. Okay. So, he kicks them both out. She figures she can sneak out of the city and go back to the Tazel terminals, but the guy rats her out to the police, saying that she's smuggling secrets for her father, who's forced to go work for the Mansers, at which point he's figured out the Calamity, and the Calamity happens because he pulls the trigger after setting it to backfire on Zealandia. So that random guy, who decided to, for whatever reason, be a dick to Zia and her father, pretty much caused the end of the world.
The Calamity hit the Tazel terminals hardest of all.
I don't think there's any underlying message there, though. Just, what? Don't be a dick or you may cause the end of civilization?
All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the Calamity. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting.
Might as well fire off a few safety shots. If anybody's there, they would have been hit by that.
You know what's funny?
Oh my god.
All of us are waiting.
The Calamity Cannon is so good! How have I not used this thing before? I just tried to fire my musket there. What? Okay. So, that just happened.
There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid.
Oh, poisoned. That's no good.
So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right?
So that's the explanation. They're all waiting for the kid to come back, so they start telling stories to each other of what's going on to pass the time. Oh, come on! Oh well.
But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Earth planet here will go away.
Lots of those little rattletails down here in this fight. If you're going to be fighting this actively, make sure that you keep in mind that you have to stay moving to dodge all the rattletail attacks. Otherwise, you're going to have a difficult time staying alive just from the sheer force of the assault they're putting out. There we go. Some extra black tonic for breaking those.
Zealandia will be whole again. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of us will just stop.
Oh, Terminal March. No way you can lose to this
Things
song.
will go back to the way they used to be.
You can only ever win to this song.
This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity.
So finally an explanation of what the Bastion is.
The way things were before this story.
At the very end of the Bastion itself.
Good times, right?
And you finally, in the very last stage, get the ability to jump over holes. It's actually pretty impressive. Kid has mad hops now.
Self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way.
So you can actually make some pretty cool hops here.
All of life's little
Whoa!
setbacks.
What happened there?
Imagine if you could have another go at him.
I guess the Calamity Cannon killed me, combined with the enemies? Anyway. The Sail Hammer is doing more than enough damage to... Oh, really? We're doing this again? Alright. And as a bit of a callback to the very beginning of the game, once more we're traveling on a path that's collapsing beneath our feet. You just hear someone fall off the edge in the background.
Anyone you've ever heard.
Quickly, to the end! We can't get caught here.
Everything you've ever done.
Alright, good.
You could do
Made
it
it
over.
out.
And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well,
Skyway.
I guess there's nothing more to say.
I guess. Wait, that was where the Skyway took us? Literally just up a floor?
Who am I kidding?
I guess that guy's supposed to be a really tough final boss sort of dude, but he really doesn't live up to that too much. And now for
Look,
platforming in Bastion.
there's something else. A confession.
Ow. Oh, come on. I'm pressing spacebar, I swear. It's just not hopping.
How come I know so much about the Bastion?
That is actually a very good question. How does Rux know so much?
Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time.
Oh, come on, I was on
You
that
can't
platform.
test it.
I guess you couldn't test it. If you did, then you wouldn't know if it worked. Oh, come on. Wait, I got that black tonic? How? I was down below the world. There was no way I could have grabbed it. Oh well.
So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's alright. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us.
And the second option presents itself.
Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around.
Oh, I still haven't tried out the new Calamity Cannon ability. I probably should, before I lose it forever. Holy crap! my god, I'm sorry. I think I peeked out the audio there for a second, but holy crap. Did you see that? That was amazing.
The weight of the calamity.
Oh my god.
It's on our shoulders.
Alright, so from now on,
We can't just let it go.
you have the battering ram, and only the battering ram, as your weapon. If you have leechate, this actually isn't that bad.
Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking.
Now, the battering ram. Quick overview of abilities. Right click to swing, left click to hit the ground, shift to hit everything on screen for massive damage. And the ram can break a lot of things. Pretty much everything, including those doors that have been invulnerable up to this point. Plus, dealing 134 damage per attack means that, well, even
If ever the
unupgraded.
monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off away from here. Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together.
An interesting proposition. It was designed to enable a mass evacuation, but if you don't really have a mass
You
left.
know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you?
So that's the special attack. It's fairly powerful, takes out most enemies here, one shot. Just requires a black tonic. Now if they all swarm me, even the slam takes them out
Zolf
pretty
and
much
Nera.
instantly.
All they want now is to see the Bastion fall.
So if we detonated the cores, they'd be happy, wouldn't they?
Zolf dedicated his life to lasting peace between the Ura and Caelondia.
I hate how slow you move with this thing, though. It is...
He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency, though, has he?
the shard. Excellent. Oh,
He tried
come
to
on.
warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kids.
That's true. The only one that Zolf's ever had a problem with on our team was Rux. It's a lot of people. There we go. Wow, I gained 5 health from countering. It's kind of really excellent.
For Zolf, this
come
ain't a
on.
personal matter.
Get back here. Holy crap. There we go. Finally, one last enemy.
It ain't a simple matter of pride either.
Wow, he survived the special attack. It's actually pretty impressive. There we go, finally. And there's still a bull left. Oh well, one hit. Bulls aren't that
One
deadly
thing's
anymore.
for sure. The Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home.
Yeah, I suppose that is the disadvantage. You take the kid's core, you're going to have the kid himself coming after you. Oh. Well shit, come on, special attack. Knock him out. Oh, they're gone. Okay, Zolf. Okay, so you get two choices. You can either keep the battering ram and attempt to attack, or you could take Zolf, which would leave you completely weaponless.
I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
I set my sail, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. I see your star, you left it burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide, feel your heart and its glow.
Kid's probably dealt with Zolf by now.
I'm welcome home.
He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions.
Might as well.
Hey, kid. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it.
So we could turn back time, stop the calamity, or hopefully stop the calamity. No guarantee of that after all. Or
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before.
well, considering the life before the calamity, I don't blame her for that. Alright, so the big choice. Now, a lot of people have looked at the story of the game, and it's really not that difficult to figure out with New Game Plus. There's a couple of lines in there, like Rux thinking he's done this before, or thinking that things seem familiar, that pretty much outright state that restoration, the restoration protocol of the Bastion, just makes things happen the exact same way they already did. Either it doesn't turn things back far enough to stop the calamity, or things are doomed to repeat themselves. But the bottom line is that if you choose restoration, this whole thing is going to happen again. So there's only one way left. Forward. And before I forget, everyone, thanks for watching, and this has been PA.
Oh, mother. And here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the calamity itself, but instead you want to stay in a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea of carrying on with you here. We can't go back no more, but I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look on their faces when we dock this thing right on their doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?